You're listening to the Acadiana's Morning News Podcast, brought to you by LABI and always on KPEL965.com.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Marcel Spears. Keeping our global neighborhood safe is a tough job, made easier by America's brave military dogs. These dogs keep our troops safe by sniffing out bombs and IEDs and locating enemy positions. Yet when these canine heroes retire, they're too often left overseas. American Humane works to bring these valiant dogs home and reunites them with their handlers for happy, healthy retirements. To learn how you can help, visit AmericanHumane.org.
Fox News, I'm Carmen Roberts. President Biden's son heads to federal court today to plead guilty to tax charges and lying on a gun permit.
Hunter Biden's deal with the Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss means he's pleading to 2 misdemeanor tax evasion counts and will enter a diversion program to avoid a felony gun charge.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Under the deal, Hunter won't serve any jail time. Congress will hold a hearing today seeking to answer some of the biggest questions of all time. Are we alone in the universe, and are there UFOs?
GOP Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett called the hearing. It features military pilots who've seen strange things while flying for the U.S. Burchett thinks the government has something to hide. One witness is former intelligence officer David Grush. He contends the military has pieces of a craft that is not from Earth and may even hold remains of an extraterrestrial pilot.
Fox's Chat program. America's listening to Fox News.
Is the Fox News Rundown. Now a look at sports.
In the NFL, a massive deal for Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert. Reports saying it's a 5-year contract extension worth $262.5 million. The deal makes Herbert the highest paid QB in NFL history based on average annual value. Bronny James, the son of Lakers star LeBron James, is in stable condition and out of the ICU after suffering cardiac arrest Monday while at practice. Bronny is an incoming freshman on the USC basketball team. Celtics star Jaylen Brown agreeing to a 5-year, $304 million contract extension, the richest deal in league history. And Blackhawks owner Rocky Wirtz has died at the age of 70. That's sports on the Fox News Rundown. I'm Eric Messersmith, Fox News.
Now an update from Outkick's Hot Mic.
Northwestern President Michael Schill said he is not considering firing AD Derek Gregg and isn't concerned about his own employment status amid the football hazing scandal and other challenges with the school's athletic program. In his first interview since firing head coach Pat Fitzgerald, Schill also told the Daily Northwestern that he isn't worried about his own job status. He said all of this in the same interview where he admitted to only reading a raw summary of the school's 6+ month investigation into hazing allegations within the football program. That raw summary is what led to the initial 2-week suspension for Fitzgerald. He later backtracked and fired Fitzgerald after going through the details of the investigation. Oh boy, Mike, I'm sure you didn't want to be bothered on your vacation, but you should have maybe taken some of your downtime to read the entire report before making such an impactful decision. For such a storied, academically high-minded institution, they seem to be led by a collection of barbarians and buffoons. I'm Chad Withrow with Hot Mike with Hunt and Withrow on the Fox News Rundown.
We are the NFHS. That stands for the National Federation of State High School Associations. But really, what we stand for, together with the LHSAA, are the 110,000 high school sports students in Louisiana. And so we stand. We stand for the runners, soccer and basketball players. We stand for their coaches, administrators, and officials. We stand for the swimmers, football players, and wrestlers. We stand for the golfers, softball, and volleyball players. We stand as the national leader and advocate for high school athletics and all who participate in them and make them possible. Because it is our purpose to ensure that high school students get to play, perform, and compete together. To learn more about who we are and what we stand for, visit nfhs.org.
It's time for your Fox News commentary.
Tommy Lahren.
What's on your mind?
The Barbie movie has only been out for a few days, but it's already crushing the box office and apparently also triggering my fellow conservatives. And I don't get it. Now, the biggest criticism of the movie is that Ken and the other male characters portrayed are dumb and weak or sexist. Some of my conservative friends feel like this movie is anti-man and shows men in a bad light. But newsflash for you, no duh. It's a movie about a fictional doll living in a Barbie dreamland of pink glitter and high ponytails. Did you think this was the remake of Rocky? I mean, come on now. The outrage over this is a little much. We've got a lot of battles to fight for the heart of this country, and I don't think picking this one is strategic or useful in the slightest. And furthermore, if you don't want your daughters or your wives watching the Barbie movie because it's too woke, y'all men better also boycott the NFL, the MLB, the NBA, soccer, and every other professional sporting event because they are way more woke. I'm Tommy Lahren.
You've been listening to the Fox News Rundown. To hear the podcast version of this program, go to foxnewspodcasts.com. And for all the latest news, go to foxnews.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-251-8381 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-251-8381. That's 800-251-8381. What do you have to lose? Call 800-251-8381. That's 800-251-8381.
KPEL covers Acadiana with Lowry's Printing and Copying.
Register today for the 2023 Miles Perret Cancer Services Triathlon set for Saturday, July 29th. Things kick off at 7 a.m. at Bourgeois Hall on the UL campus. The event helps Miles Perret Cancer Services raise some funds for their great organization, and the event is perfect for all fitness levels. Register at milesperret.org or call 984-1920. Lafayette Animal Shelter at 410 Dugas Road in Lafayette is waiving all adoption fees through Monday, July 31st with their Empty the Shelter event. Shelter hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and Saturdays, noon until 2 p.m. All animals are spayed or neutered, vaccinated, microchipped, and dogs are treated for heartworms. See the animals up for adoption at LafayetteLA.gov. Click on Animal Shelter, and thanks for adopting one of their great pets at the Lafayette Animal Shelter.
If you or your organization has an event that you would like to get on the KPEL community calendar, email it to news@kpel965.com. That's news at kpel965.com.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. That means it could be you, your best man, your worst man. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org to know where you stand. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette. Broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios, online at matthew-james.com.
Hunter Biden will go to court today. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The president's son plans to plead guilty to 2 federal tax evasion misdemeanors and enter into a pretrial diversion program to avoid a felony charge of illegally possessing a gun as a drug user. But some Republicans call it a sweetheart deal.
House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith filed a brief yesterday morning requesting that whistleblower information be considered in the judge's decision on this plea deal. Quote, the defendant appears to have benefited from political interference, which calls into question the propriety of the investigation of the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Fox's Brooke Singman. Now, the judge is upset, demanding answers from Hunter Biden's lawyers, alleging one of them may have tried to get Congressman Smith's brief removed from the record. The Biden legal team denies that, calling it unfortunate miscommunication. There's news on Trevor Reed, the Marine veteran who was jailed in Russia until being freed in a U.S. prisoner swap last year. Well, he's now in a hospital in Germany after Reed was wounded in combat in Ukraine, where he went to help fight Russia's invasion. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says,
"We have warned that U.S. citizens who travel to Ukraine, especially with the purpose of participating in fighting there, that they face significant risk."
A federal judge ruled against a Biden border policy that denies asylum to some migrants, but the judge kept it in effect pending appeal. The X-Files told us the truth is out there. Well, today there's a House hearing into UFOs after many close encounters with military and other pilots caught on video. Republican Congressman Tim Burchett will lead the hearing, tells the Fox News Rundown podcast.
We're not going to bring in a flying saucer or little green men, but we literally have decorated veterans who are really just risking their whole careers by coming out, or, their legacy, more or less, to talk about these things.
2 former military pilots will testify. So will a former intelligence officer who claims the government may have an alien spacecraft in storage. America's listening to Fox News.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
As Hunter Biden goes to court, his father, the president, is under increasing Republican scrutiny over his possible involvement in his son's business dealings, which the president denies.
Walking out of an event on mental health coverage, President Biden smiled but did not say anything in response to questions about a possible impeachment inquiry. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre also is not entertaining hypotheticals.
I'm not going to get into what the House Republicans may or may not do. What I can speak to is what the president is focused on. He's focused on real priorities that the American families care about.
At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
For a second day, a Federal Reserve meeting will assess the economy, and that's expected to lead to another interest rate hike this afternoon.
After taking what has been called a skip in June, the central bank is expected to raise interest rates for the 11th time since March of 2022, a quarter percentage point, to a range of 5.25% and 5.5%, its highest level in 22 years.
Fox's Hillary Barsky. Stock futures are down the day after the Dow rose a 12th straight session. We're told LeBronny James, the son of NBA star LeBron James, remains stable at a hospital after collapsing at USC's basketball practice, suffering cardiac arrest.
Bronny is a freshman on the USC basketball team and was practicing with his teammates at the time of the incident. A James family spokesman said in a statement, quote, "We ask for respect and privacy for the James family, and we will update media when there is more information." James was a highly touted recruit during his senior year of high school last year, ultimately chose to stay close to home with USC. I'm Eric Messersmith, Fox News.
And NBA players worked out the richest contract in league history. Jaylen Brown's deal with the Boston Celtics, 5 years, $304 million. There's also a record contract in the NFL. LA Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert gets 5 years, $262 million, but we can win even more. Mega Millions, nobody won last night, now $910 million. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning. I'm Bernadette Lee with your news and information update. A second time this year, a coach at St. Thomas More has been arrested by federal authorities. KATC found the name of an STM faculty member. Angel Cardona had been scrubbed from the website. Another coach, Jacob De La Paz, fired after a video circulated online. The Louisiana Pardon Board did not act on the clemency applications from 56 death row inmates at its Monday meeting. Brooke Thorington has more on the story.
The death row inmates are hoping the pardon board recommends clemency to Governor John Bel Edwards, who opposes the death penalty. But prosecutors are concerned about rushing these applications through the process. Lauren Lampert represents the Louisiana District Attorneys Association.
Victims need confidence that as this moves forward, there's integrity in the system and that all of the applicable rules and laws are followed.
The Capitol Appeals Project remains confident the board will apply its rules and consider the merits of the clemency applications. I'm Brooke Thorington.
Hurricane season is officially June 1st through November 30th. But Louisiana state climatologist Barry Keim, along with a group of researchers, are finding that the season tends to last longer. It's kicking off earlier and ending later. He says over the last 9 years, 10 preseason storms have formed.
So we can get federal, state, and local agencies all on board and, thinking about these storms a little bit sooner so that we're actually better prepared for them when they do indeed occur.
Now, the million-dollar question, Keim says, is whether the season is longer because of climate change or whether technology has advanced so that meteorologists are able to detect storms better than in the past.
So this is a debate that we're still having, but nevertheless, whether it's climate change or whether it's just better surveillance of the storms, we're still getting storms earlier in the season and outside of the dates that we call hurricane season.
Researchers from LSU, the University of New Hampshire, and Colorado State University are among those participating in the study. Keim says they have great hurricane season records from 1970 on due to the implementation of satellites. Now, prior to the 70s, the records are less accurate because planes were used to compile the storm data.
And it does appear that hurricane seasons are indeed becoming longer. But again, it's fraught with all sorts of data uncertainties.
Now, Keim says it makes sense to begin hurricane season before June 1st so residents and emergency officials prepare before June. On the heels of the announcement that the I-10 River Bridge project will be partially funded by tolls, Calcasieu Parish Police Jury President Chris Landry says he and others are disappointed that motorists will have to pay part of the tab. He says there's no doubt whatsoever that the bridge is needed.
The bid came back a lot higher than what they were expecting. And the bad thing is the toll issue. Nobody wants to pay tolls. And I don't think people in Lake Charles are any different than people anywhere else in the country.
Now, the project is estimated to have a $2.1 billion price tag, and $800 million of the project will be funded through various government sources. Landry says the estimated tolls range from $2.50 per auto to $12.50 for a large truck with a toll tag, and without a tag, $3.75 per car, and almost $19 for a semi-truck.
And hopefully we're going to continue to work on it before it's done, and maybe they can get a handle on it, and they won't be quite as high, but they're up there.
Now, because I-10 goes from one end of the country to the other, Landry believes more federal funds should go towards that project. State transportation receives funding for roads and bridges via the state gas tax, which Landry believes is just not enough.
They don't have near enough money to do what needs to be done, but all of that needs to be fixed.
Now, the tolls will be in effect for 50 years until that project is paid off. Well, the Food Network's Barbecue USA TV show will feature UL Lafayette's Office of Veterans and Military Student Services. It's a signature fundraising event. They have it all the time, Operation Smoke Show. The barbecue contest will air during several upcoming episodes of Battle on the Bayou. They begin running in August. You're up to date. I'm Bernadette Lee.
Heat remains the major issue across Acadiana, and we certainly remain on pace for our hottest all-time July record. We will be close to the hottest all-time month, depending on how the temperatures go this weekend, as it does look like there's going to be a warm-up in store for us Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So the final days of July all looking very, very hot. Temperatures today get to about 97 degrees. Heat index will probably be up at about 105 later this afternoon, with winds coming from the south at about 5 miles an hour. Very little change over the next several days. Like I said, it will get a little bit hotter as we head towards the weekend. Not much in the way of rain chances, kind of a running 10% chance of rain going for the next several days. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
All right, not much happening right now on the roadways, so just please continue to keep it safe out there. School is right around the corner, and there are many kids in our area who don't have access to the supplies they need to have a successful year. Foster kids, homeless, and most needy children need your help as they get ready for the school year. The 8th annual Mabel's Table Backpack Project gives you a chance to provide for these students. You can bring school supplies to 2 drop-off locations across Lafayette: Caroline and Company at 1800 Colley Saloon Road, Suite 100, and Grace Presbyterian Church at 518 Roselawn Boulevard. Then, on Friday, July 28th from 3 to 5 p.m., volunteers will be packing backpacks for the kids at Grace Presbyterian. Their goal? To pack over 300 backpacks, but they can't get there without you. Please donate your school supplies at Caroline and Company on Colley Saloon Road or Grace Presbyterian Church on Roselawn Boulevard, or consider packing some backpacks yourself and help our children in need. Just go to mabelstable.org for more information. That's mabelstable.org. Good morning, Acadiana, and welcome into Acadiana's Morning News. Brandon Como here with you on this Wednesday edition of the show. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. Hope you have a great day today. Hope you're having a good start to your morning as well. Joe Cunningham will join me in just a minute or two. And today, going to be another hot weather day, as you heard Daniel talk about in the forecast. And looking forward to some cooler weather, but hey, we all are. So, okay, so we have a great lineup for today's show. Of course, we got Wingin' It Wednesday coming up in the 7 o'clock hour, as Mark Pope and Jacob White will join me and Joe here in the studio. Coming up in our next segment, we got a real treat today. So JB Sachs, Jeremy Benoit, he is here with Stephen Piku with the Lafayette Regional Airport. As tomorrow, Jeremy will be performing for visitors at Lafayette Regional Airport. In the airport terminal. Really cool concept that they are starting. And so he's going to perform tomorrow, and it's going to kind of usher in something really cool that they're having over at the Lafayette Regional Airport. We'll fill you in more on the details later on. We got Cartridge Draw Trivia coming up later on in the show as well. And I bring Joe in right now, and I think we need to get to something very important to start the show off this morning, man.
Okay, hit me.
Aliens.
Yes.
What the heck is going on in Congress?
There is another congressional hearing on UFOs. That's coming up today, starting at 9 our time.
Yeah.
So actually, Congress has a fairly busy day. So we've got a House hearing on UFOs at 9.
Yeah.
We've got a House hearing on Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas is testifying before the House at 9. We're going to have, more than likely, an interest rate hike from the Fed coming up this morning, probably sometime after the show this morning.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be paying attention to a whole lot. But the UFOs thing, I think that's just going to be incredible. And I think there's a lot of congressmen who are going to be jumping up to take part in that because it's a bit lighter fare than that's awesome. We find all these instances, these videos the military has taken of unidentified flying objects. And those are starting to come out, and now the House wants to hear about it, and now our politicians want to hear about it. They want to know what's going down. And it's a public hearing, which means we get some great clips.
Yeah.
And you'll have, I don't know who all the testimony is from. I haven't seen the lineup of speakers for today on that one, but man, that's going to be, I mean, we had a story not too long ago of a guy, a researcher, is it Harvard? I think it's Harvard, who went on a deep sea dive and found ththese spherical non-terrestrial objects. And I wrote about that on the website a couple weeks back. He said, like, there's no way this was made on Earth or whatever. And they're like perfect spheres. So yeah, that's awesome. Let's see. Whistleblower to testify at UFO hearing on Capitol Hill. That's from CBS News. So we got whistleblower testimony.
Look, don't sleep on the Mayorkas testimony as well.
No,
now that's going to be in the House, right?
Right.
Okay, because I say that because I'm curious who he's going in front of. Now, when he's going in front of the Senate, John Kennedy has lit him up and has made for some very interesting viral clips, but he's going in front of the House this time.
Yeah, I'm not sure which committee that Homeland Security hearing.
Yeah.
Is
it Clay Higgins on that one?
Yes. Let's see.
I thought so.
I think that's going to be Homeland Security Committee. So that would be Higgins on that committee, which means I guess I'll have to try to find those clips and pull those too.
And Jim Jordan as well.
Yeah, Jim Jordan. That's going to be interesting because there's all this talk of impeachment right now. And all of the focus is kind of on Biden, the Biden family, Joe and Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
But the most impeachable guy right now is probably Mayorkas.
Yes. He has a way of bothering many of our elected officials on the Republican side.
Yeah, and the thing is, kind of in the background, most Republicans also know that Mayorkas was the absolute best that Biden was going to put forward, and anybody else is going to be substantially worse. So again, it's like impeaching Joe Biden. Yeah, there's a lot of smoke in the room, and yeah, he's involved in some shady stuff, or as Hunter is involved and has gotten him involved to the point where you really got to consider the whole impeachment thing, but also consider who comes after Joe Biden, which is Kamala Harris. And if you think Biden is bad,
well, she was the one put in charge of the border, essentially, like with Mayorkas. You know what I'm saying? Like she was supposed to go to it.
She was initially put in charge of a specific region below the border of Central American countries.
Yeah.
And Mayorkas and Homeland Security are actually supposed to be controlling what's happening at the border, and they're not. The Biden administration's overall policies have been very permissive at the border. They are trying to semi-enforce stuff now. They're like, well, the courts are saying, but you've done this, and now you're all of a sudden switching it up. And they're now suing the state of Texas for putting a buoy barrier out in the Rio Grande, just to try to stop people from swimming across the Texas-Mexico border, which is an extremely dangerous thing, and it's leading to a lot of injury and death. And you have Texas law enforcement and Border Patrol who's essentially pushing the illegal crossers back over, and it's getting all sorts of negative attention for that. But if the Department of Homeland Security had enforced basic immigration law and not by executive fiat started basically not doing their job, this wouldn't be such an issue. But they have, and now we're at the point where there's going to be another hearing on it. I think members of the House are a lot more comfortable if they impeach Mayorkas or Merrick Garland or something like that, rather than going straight up to the top with Biden, even though they're completely separate issues. I mean, you've got weaponization of the DOJ, you've got DHS failing to do their job, and you've got all the Biden family business stuff. That's three separate issues. If you want to collect a scalp, probably DHS is your best one.
Well, the chairman of the House Committee on Homeland Security, Mark Green, out of Tennessee, he's basically come out and said, look, Mayorkas has been derelict in his duty as the U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security. And in remarks that, he made, he said that basically in just over 2 years under Secretary Mayorkas, more people have entered our country illegally than in the 12 years of the Obama and Trump administrations combined. He said this includes more than 5.2 million apprehensions at the southwest border, more than 6.1 million apprehensions factoring in America's northern and maritime borders, and at least 1.5 million known gotaways. Those are illegal aliens who slip across our border without being caught and are now at large in the U.S. So there will be fireworks today.
Oh, yeah, and I need to correct myself. This isn't going to be a Homeland Security Committee. This is going to be House Judiciary. That's Jim Jordan at the top of that one.
Okay.
So that will be, and he basically sent a letter to Mayorkas saying, you better come prepared.
Yes.
And the Department of Homeland Security has absolutely refused to provide data points to that House committee.
So Mike Johnson is on the Judiciary Committee.
Yes.
So you see, like, Louisiana's got people in very strategic places.
Trying to get Johnson back on my show.
Yeah.
Kind of talking with his office. Want to get him on to talk about these issues and kind of see where we stand on these, because it's super important to pay attention to this stuff. And we can pay attention to the Biden family stuff, the Biden family business stuff, but this is not going to sound the way I mean it to sound, but that's kind of outside the scope of the day-to-day function of American government. Right now, the law is not being followed at the border.
Right.
The Department of Justice is just completely corrupt, and this isn't about the corruption of Hunter Biden getting his dad looped in and just making the family rich. This is about the daily function of U.S. government and how it's supposed to carry out U.S. law, and it's not. And these are some pretty important issues, along with the UFOs, that are being addressed by Congress right now that people really need to pay attention to, because we can talk the broad, we need to get rid of Biden and everything. In a year and a half, you're going to vote. You're going to impeach with your vote, essentially.
Yes.
So that's going to come. You can make all the changes from the top down if you impeach with your vote when it comes to Joe Biden. But right now, Republicans can whittle away at this permissive and completely derelict administrative bureaucracy that is the Biden administration.
Yes. So also on that, on the other side, the Democrats, you've got Gerald Nadler's going to be on there. He's always something.
Yeah.
Who else? Adam Schiff, Eric Swalwell. Yeah.
Schiff and Swalwell, just
comical characters. Especially
if you
Nadler.
Don't listen to anything they say, and it's not for partisan reasons, they're just insane. There are Republicans on that are also insane that I encourage people not to listen to. But Swalwell and Schiff, I mean, Schiff spent 4 years, 5 years, 6 years lying, saying he had all this evidence on Trump, and that evidence never existed. Swalwell is a probably compromised congressman who had a relationship with a Chinese asset.
Well, Matt Gaetz is on the Republican side, so I'm pretty sure he did.
Who may also be a foreign asset. You don't know.
There's your balance right there. All right, we got to take this break because we need to bring on Jeremy and Stephen, Lafayette Regional Airport. We'll take this quick break. Be right back.
This is Acadiana's home for breaking news and weather. News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Depend on.
Some of the benefits. The building was built with expansion in mind. So we have 2 lanes for TSA, which was an issue in the past, with the ability to go to 3.
Yeah.
We have the ability to expand in the event that we get more flights in. Yeah. We're always working to get more flights in there.
Right.
Another thing that we talked about with JB, having him come in, is he understands working at an airport that it's still an active environment and people still need to get to their airplanes and they need to hear their calls for their airplanes. So JB understands that, and so that's what we're looking forward to, because we do want different types of genres in there, but we got to be careful on some of them, because you might have some that are playing music a little too loud and then other people miss their flights.
It's a balance, man.
It's a balance. So we're really looking forward to it. And so, but yes, JB's going to be our inaugural, and we're going to start it off from there.
Nice.
And hopefully we'll have something in August when you're flying.
Yes.
Joe.
So I went from not flying very often at all to I have at least 2 in the fall coming up in August, and then again in October where I'm going to be flying out. And so I hope to be able to catch a show. I love the idea because, bringing in multiple genres, there's probably no place more diverse than an airport. So you have a whole lot of different people coming in with different tastes, and they get exposed to different things. How many people who might be flying into Lafayette they come from somewhere they've never really experienced jazz before, and they stop and listen, and they get to experience that, something really authentic for Louisiana and for the area. That's awesome. And to hear that this is going to keep going is just great.
And that's the thing you said, experiencing jazz. That was the thing that I remember so much about seeing you performing live, is the experience of it. Yeah. It was just really one of the coolest things that we had gotten a chance to go to. And so y'all bringing this to the airport is going to be a lot of fun tomorrow. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. I think y'all going to get requests for it to continue to happen.
Yeah, well, we look forward to that.
There you go.
Sometimes you don't know something until you experience it.
Yeah,
that was. I mean, I remember my very first concert I went to. I was like 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I went to see some of my favorite musicians perform live: Gerald Albright, Richard Elliott, Peter White, Kirk Whalen. We're playing at the Verizon Wireless Center, and this was before we had iPhones and all that. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
This was before that. This is when you couldn't just go to YouTube either.
So we had those little flip phones.
We just had the little flip phones, the little razors. I had my little razor.
Yeah.
And then so the only thing you had was the CD. So I'm like, this can't be real. You know what I'm saying? You go in, we go into that show, and these guys are killing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh my God.
So I got to ask you, man, as a performer, what's it like to get on stage and be able to play music that you see people just enjoy?
It's a beautiful thing, man. You see people respond to what you do.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it that much better. I mean, I love what I do. I would do it if people didn't respond or not.
Right.
But it feeds to the vibe. It adds to the vibe, and it creates a situation that there's a connection, a spiritual connection between you and the audience, and there's something going on, And I feel that whether I'm playing secular jazz or whether I'm playing gospel jazz, because I also do gospel jazz.
Yep.
I played a lot of different churches, and I work out my faith through my music. So it's but you can always feel what's happening, in the moment, and so it's very important. It's a very special thing to have.
So for people who are listening, whether they're listening today or they listen tomorrow at the airport, where else can they see you in concert?
You can see me at a variety of different places. I'll be at Whiskey and Vine on the 18th with the band.
Okay.
We play at Bon Ton Grill on some first Saturdays. We'll do a jazz brunch there. I play at Sugars in Beaumont, Texas. A few venues in Baton Rouge. Sometimes you can catch me at Mazen Grill. We play at Mazen Grill Restaurant. We do a lot of private events.
Yeah.
We do some festivals. We do a lot of festivals in Franklin. And we're just looking to expand. Got a new EP going to be releasing on next month, The Real JB Sachs Experience.
Nice.
Brand new music. Going to be sure to get that. I'm going to get it out to you first, Brandon.
Well, I appreciate that, man. That's awesome.
And so we trying to do something. We're right at the point of trying to really expand beyond where we are.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
That's what's going on.
Well, look, I think this is going to be great. Looking forward to hearing how it goes tomorrow at the airport, 3:30 to 5:30.
That's right. Come out. If you want to come out and see, again, go to our website and you can get that visitor's pass.
Awesome.
So we look forward to seeing everyone.
And the website is?
www.lftairport.com.
Perfect. All right, Stephen, Jeremy, thank y'all so much. And Stephen, thank you for the donuts, man.
Oh, you're welcome.
That just never gets old, man. Delicious. Thank you. All right, KPL News Time is 6:39. We're a little bit late, but we'll hit news right after this. News Talk 96.5 KPL, broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios. Find out more about how they can help you at matthew-james.com.
Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the KPL News app. Now the headlines from the KPL News Center.
Good morning. I'm Bernadette Lee with your news and information update. Well, it's going to be time for another heat wave, so get ready. Meteorologists say Acadiana is heading back towards another full-blown multi-day heat wave into this weekend. It'll be hotter temperatures and heat indices that are going to inch upward before the week is over. The State Department of Transportation announcing toll rates for the new I-10 Lake Charles Bridge. Jeff Palermo has more on our story.
DOTD spokesperson Rodney Mallett says the total cost for a new bridge is $2.1 billion.
To have this nice new bridge, we are looking for it to be tolling.
Mallett says the tolls could be as low as 25 cents for area residents to as much as $18 for trucks that do not have a toll tag. Says the state has entered negotiations with Calcasieu Bridge partners to manage the bridge, and construction could begin next year.
Once we get the negotiations completed, then the contractor, the group, the CBP can go ahead and get started.
I'm Jeff Palermo.
Researchers from LSU and other universities, along with weather-related agencies, are working to compile data that could result in a longer hurricane season. Brooke Thorington has more details on the story.
It does appear that hurricane seasons are indeed becoming longer.
That's state climatologist Barry Keim, who's participating in the project. He says the data shows that not all storms fall into the hurricane season time period of June 1st to November 30th. The big question is what's lengthening the season? Is it climate change or better technology to detect disturbances?
Whether it's climate change or whether it's just better surveillance of the storms, we're still getting storms earlier in the season and outside of the dates that we call hurricane season.
He says if the season is extended, it prompts people able to prepare even sooner. I'm Brooke Thorington.
Homeowners impacted by hurricanes in 2020 and 2021 or severe storms that happened in May of 2021 have until next Tuesday, August the 1st, to fill out a survey in order to be considered for grant money to pay for home repairs, reconstruction, and reimbursement of completed repairs. Office of Community Development Director Pat Forbes says the survey can be completed at restore.la.gov.
You may or may not be eligible for funding, but we are absolutely going to figure that out with you if you fill out the survey. If you don't fill out the survey, however, we don't have an opportunity to try to help you.
Now, Forbes says more than 33,000 homeowners have completed the survey, but they know there are many more who were impacted by the 2020 and 2021 hurricanes that have not completed it yet.
Pretty sure there's probably 60,000 folks out there who could be eligible who have not completed the survey yet.
And the Restore Louisiana Homeowner Assistance Program was launched in February of 2020. And so far, the program has offered $266 million in funding to 3,300 eligible homeowners. Forbes says many of the eligible homeowners need money for a new roof. He says others need a new house built outside of a floodplain.
The limit on the grants, I think, is $300,000, but we essentially repair whatever damage, pay to repair whatever damage you had from the storm.
Now, residents can also call 1-866-735-2001. You can do that Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, if you need assistance in filling out that form. Well, the Saints will have their first practice of training camp today. New Orleans are the favorites to win the NFC South after struggling the last two seasons following the retirement of Drew Brees. Longtime Saints GM Mickey Loomis says the feeling was always that the team may have to rebuild after Brees' departure, but with a talented roster, the front office went a different route.
Maybe we don't have to start over. Maybe we can just, as you just said, reset. And so I kind of still feel like that's the case. I think we've got a good football team, and we've got to get good play from everyone. We've got to stay away from injuries from some of our key players. But I think it's there in front of us.
Now, one group to watch this offseason will be the running backs, with free agent signing Jamal Williams and third-round pick Kendre Miller joining Alvin Kamara this offseason. Kamara's availability for this season is uncertain as he waits for an NFL ruling after resolving battery charges stemming from an altercation in a Las Vegas club. Loomis says the team still hasn't heard anything, and the decision could come at any time.
We've had an advance notice, and then we've had times when we haven't had advance notice. That we get it 8 days before, 10 days before. They're not going to do it on a Friday and tell you he's not playing on Sunday. They don't do that. They give you some notice, but it's not always as long a lead time as you'd like.
Now, the NFL's conduct policy and suspension lengths have been wildly inconsistent, but many believe Kamara will face up to a 6-game suspension. You're up to date. I'm Bernadette Lee.
Heat remains the major issue across Acadiana, and we certainly remain on pace for our hottest all-time July record. We will be close to the hottest all-time month, depending on how the temperatures go this weekend, as it does look like there's going to be a warm-up in store for us Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So the final days of July all looking very, very hot. Temperatures today get to about 97 degrees. Heat index will probably be up at about 105 later this afternoon, with winds coming from the south at about 5 miles an hour. Very little change over the next several days. Like I said, it will get a little bit hotter as we head towards the weekend. Not much in the way of rain chances, kind of a running 10% chance of rain going for the next several days. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Eat Lafayette 2023 shines a year-round spotlight on Lafayette's locally owned and operated restaurants. And now through September 10th, you can find Eat Lafayette deals offered by some of the participating restaurants. News Talk 96.5 KPEL is proud to be a sponsor of Eat Lafayette and the Digital Passport. Download the Eat Lafayette Digital Passport today so you can check in when you eat at a participating restaurant. Each check-in will enter you to win airfare and a trip for two to Savannah, Georgia, courtesy of Wings Travel. Just go to kpel965.com and click on the Eat Lafayette link at the top of the page. Eat Lafayette from Lafayette Travel and sponsored in part by News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
All right, looking at what's happening on the roadways, all we have is one issue to report. A light is out. Bertrand at Congress. That's a light out. Bertrand at Congress. If you speed, there are lots of sounds that you might hear, like the sound of your vehicle crashing, because eventually speeding catches up with you. All right, speaking of traffic, so Joe, the Calcasieu River Bridge, this has been something that we've each done stories about. As a matter of fact, earlier in the year when Representatives Brett Guyman and blanking on the other one from Lake Charles, they were in to do his show, and we found out literally that morning that there was quite a bit of money that was going to head the way towards that Calcasieu River Bridge project, and putting them very, very close at the time to having the money that they needed to be able to do this thing. Now, what they talked about considerably, it was Philip Tarver. What they talked about, especially Representative Tarver, was the need, and they felt that this bridge could be done without needing tolls. Now, the information that you got yesterday, and Louisiana DOTD put this out yesterday, is this is a project that could take up to about 7 years, and the proposals include tolls.
That's right. And part of it is there are some partnerships there, different groups chipping in money, so the tolls aren't as high as would maybe be necessary to help fund the project into the future. But yeah, local auto toll tag would be 25 cents for the toll tag rate. Peak hour HOV rate would be 13 cents. Other cars, $2.50 for the toll tag. Medium truck, $2.55. Large truck, $12.50 for those tags. And that again comes with $150 million of federal discretionary grant awarded to DOTD for the project, $240 million in motor vehicle sales tax fund transfers, $150 million in American Rescue Plan Act funds, $85 million in state general obligation bonds, $75 million from highway priority programs, and $100 million from the state general fund. So there's a lot of money going into this project. And when you look at the artist renderings, and you can find them over on KPEL965.com.
Beautiful.
It does look beautiful, and it looks a lot safer than the current bridge.
Yeah, that's the standard for that is very low, though.
That is a very low bar. But
Yes.
but I mean, it does. I mean, it looks great for the area, and it looks like it'll be a great addition to Lake Charles, and would really kind of help revitalize the face of Lake Charles, that primary entry into the city, which, you're already going over that bridge, and then you go into Lake Charles, which is still in some areas needs to rebuild after being rocked by hurricanes for several years. And, this project, I mean, again, takes up to 7 years, it looks like. This project would be a significant facelift for that entry into the city and could really boost those revitalization efforts.
Okay, so two things off the bat that are obvious in the renderings. The bridge is like pretty flat across.
Yes.
It's not high arching like the current one is.
That's not an arch, that's a peak.
There you go. You're right. That is a peak.
Every time I go over that bridge, I feel like the little yodeling guy on Price is Right.
Yes. Shannon doesn't even go on it.
Yeah.
Shannon's Shannon will take the long way around it. And I don't blame him. The more and more I've come to realize just how structurally deficient that bridge is. The other thing to notice is it's got great lighting.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. What a concept.
Yeah, lighting. It's incredible.
Yes.
One of the things that's really cool, though, in the renderings is that it had those, if you look at those pictures, it's got the little grate things on the sides and the middle of the bridge where the structure's at its strongest. It kind of gives you an oil rig feel
Yeah, you're right.
Which does match the city, which is a major oil and gas hub in the state. So that kind of gives you a very kind of gives you a nice little feel for Lake Charles as a community.
I agree. It looks a whole lot better than what's there right now, and but it looks like it'll take a while. And I hate to sound negative, but I'm going to be realistic. In Louisiana, things just take longer, especially when it comes to road and bridge construction.
They do, but the thing is, this is a project that you, excuse my language, can't half-ass at all.
Yeah.
You have, if you're in, you start the project, you can't not finish it, which hopefully our officials understand. And hopefully with the next administration coming in, maybe there'll be the possibility to help expedite that a bit so that we can try to get that going a little bit before, focus more resources more on it.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and take this break. We've got your Kim Commando daily digital update, Fox Business Report, and we've got news, weather, and traffic all coming up top of the hour. Plus, Wingin' It Wednesday, Mark Pope, Jacob White will join us. Stay tuned.
Did you know that the average person receives 21 junk spam emails every day? Well, I've got a trick to help you send these emails straight to the trash bin. I'm Kim Commando, brought to you by NetSuite. Fed up with QuickBooks? Get no payments or interest for 6 months at netsuite.com/Kim. Here's an interesting fact. If you use Gmail, you actually have 2 email addresses. They both start with your username, but one ends with @gmail.com, the other with @googleemail.com. While they lead to the same account, you can use them independently. So say use one for your regular emails and the other ones that might be trash. Here's how. Create an auto-delete filter in Gmail for the spam @googlemail.com address. This way, any email sent to that address automatically gets tossed out. This way, when a business asks for your email, you can give them your @googleemail.com address. And this way, all those emails go straight into the trash bin. Join over 400,000 folks to get my free email at getkim.com.
American Giant is the leading manufacturer of American-made clothing. When you choose American Giant, you are saying yes to clothes made under the highest standards, ones that support sustainable jobs, living wages, safe working conditions, and use high-quality materials. Plus, they have a full range of timeless, durable basics for men and women. Wear your values in the new year. Get 20% off with code NY23 at American-Giant.com. That's 20% off at American-Giant.com. Code NY23.
The Fox Business Report is brought to you by Gulf Coast Bank, your local community bank. Whether your financial needs are for an individual, a business, or for the whole family, Gulf Coast Bank has the knowledge and products to serve you best. With 9 convenient locations throughout Acadiana, you're never far from a friendly Gulf Coast Bank associate.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
There's no sign of travel demand cooling in the latest numbers from Hilton, the hotel giant's profit and revenue both top forecasts. Occupancy rose, and Hilton was able to charge more for its rooms. 2 regional banks are merging. Bank of California is buying PacWest Bancorp. Both are based in the Los Angeles area. The Federal Reserve's meeting wraps up today. It's expected to raise interest rates by 0.25%. It will also offer an assessment of the economy. Microsoft's earnings top forecast, but Wall Street was hoping for a more optimistic outlook from the company, and Microsoft shares are lower. Google's parent Alphabet also reported an upbeat quarter. Its advertising business is holding up better than expected, and that stock is higher. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
The best way to stop Joe Biden's agenda is to opt out of his inflation game by diversifying your savings into gold. I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is why I recommend a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, text the word SHELTER to 989898 to get a free info kit on gold. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust. So text SHELTER to 989898 right now.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette. Broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios. Online at matthew-james.com.
President Biden's son goes to federal court in 2 hours. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and Hunter Biden plans to plead guilty
to 2 misdemeanor counts of failing to pay income tax. He's also reached an agreement with prosecutors to enter a diversion program
for owning a firearm while also a drug user.
Fox's Mark Meredith at the White House adds there is some new drama. Republican Congressman Jason Smith filed a brief urging the judge to consider IRS whistleblower allegations of political interference in the case, benefiting the president's son.
Not long after the brief was filed, the judge's office claims a member of Hunter Biden's legal team reportedly claimed to be calling from another law firm asking for the document to be removed over privacy concerns.
Now, Biden's lawyers deny that, calling it unfortunate miscommunication. Rudy Giuliani, former President Trump's ex-lawyer, admits in a late-night court filing claims he made that 2 Georgia election workers committed fraud in 2020 were false. Those 2 sued Giuliani for defamation, but he claims his untrue allegations are constitutionally protected speech. Trevor Reed is hospitalized in Germany. He's the Marine veteran freed from Russia in a prisoner swap last year. Reed was wounded in Ukraine, where he went to fight Russia's invasion. There's also an update on a former U.S. soldier also released in a prisoner swap.
U.S. District Judge Reggie B. Walton has vacated the conviction and sentence of Bo Bergdahl, the former Army sergeant who walked off a base in Afghanistan in 2009 and was held captive by the Taliban for 5 years before being released in a prisoner swap that resulted in political controversy.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. In 2 hours, the House will hold a hearing on UFOs. Congressman Tim Burchett will lead it, and the Republican tells Fox it's time the government tells us the truth.
I think there's a great deal of arrogance. Why aren't they releasing the Kennedy files on the assassination 60 years ago?
Military pilots who've had close encounters will testify. So will an ex-intel officer who claims there may be alien spacecraft in storage. America's listening to Fox News.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
The Hunter Biden plea deal and allegations his father, the president, may have been involved in Hunter's business dealings, which he denies, have Republicans considering opening an impeachment inquiry. The president refused to answer any questions about that after an event to push for expanded mental health coverage.
President Biden says insurance companies will have to increase coverage for mental health under new regulations proposed by his administration.
I don't know what the difference between breaking your arm and having a mental breakdown is. It's health. There's no distinction. It's health.
The proposed rules expand on existing law enacted to mandate insurers provide mental health care as part of their coverage. But the president says too many have restricted access. Promoting mental health is part of President Biden's unity agenda, issues he believes have bipartisan support. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Some Republicans also want the head of Homeland Security impeached over the record surge of illegal immigration. He'll be questioned at a House hearing this morning, and Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan has given Alejandro Mayorkas a heads up to what he'll be asked about.
Writing to Alejandro Mayorkas, quote, prior to your last appearance before the committee on April 28, 2022, we wrote to ask you to come prepared to address in detail specific aspects of the administration's immigration policies and programs. Unfortunately, during your last testimony last year, you were unable to provide specific data or information, and to this date, you still have not provided substantive responses to some members' questions from that hearing.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. The Federal Reserve is expected to order another interest rate hike today, maybe another 0.25 percentage point to fight inflation. You won't have to worry about any of that if you win the Mega Millions. Nobody hit the jackpot again last night, so it grows to $910 million, the 8th biggest U.S. lottery prize ever. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the Cape Hill News app. Now the headlines from the Cape Hill News Center.
Good morning. I'm Bernadette Lee with your news and information update. A second time this year, a coach at St. Thomas More has been arrested by federal authorities. KATC found the name of an STM faculty member, Angel Cardona, had been scrubbed from the website. Another coach, Jacob De La Paz, fired after a video circulated online. The Louisiana Pardon Board did not act on the clemency applications from 56 death row inmates at its Monday meeting. Brooke Thorington has more on the story.
The death row inmates are hoping the Pardon Board recommends clemency to Governor John Bel Edwards, who opposes the death penalty. But prosecutors are concerned about rushing these applications through the process. Lauren Lampert represents the Louisiana District Attorneys Association.
Victims need confidence that as this moves forward, there's integrity in the system and that all of the applicable rules and laws are followed.
The Capitol Appeals Project remains confident the board will apply its rules and consider the merits of the clemency applications. I'm Brooke Thorington.
Hurricane season is officially June 1st through November 30th. But Louisiana state climatologist Barry Keim, along with a group of researchers, are finding that the season tends to last longer. It's kicking off earlier and ending later. He says over the last 9 years, 10 preseason storms have formed.
So we can get federal, state, and local agencies all on board and, thinking about these storms a little bit sooner so that we're actually better prepared for them when they do indeed occur.
Now, the million-dollar question, Keim says, is whether the season is longer because of climate change or whether technology has advanced so that meteorologists are able to detect storms better than in the past.
So this is a debate that we're still having, but nevertheless, whether it's climate change or whether it's just better surveillance of the storms, we're still getting storms earlier in the season and outside of the dates that we call hurricane season.
Researchers from LSU, the University of New Hampshire, and Colorado State University are among those participating in the study. Keim says they have great hurricane season records from 1970 on due to the implementation of satellites. Now, prior to the 70s, the records are less accurate because planes were used to compile the storm data.
And it does appear that hurricane seasons are indeed becoming longer. But again, it's fraught with all sorts of data uncertainties.
Now, Keim says it makes sense to begin hurricane season before June 1st so residents and emergency officials prepare before June. On the heels of the announcement that the I-10 River Bridge project will be partially funded by tolls, Calcasieu Parish Police Jury President Chris Landry says he and others are disappointed that motorists will have to pay part of the tab. He says there's no doubt whatsoever that the bridge is needed.
The bid came back a lot higher than what they were expecting, and the bad thing is the toll issue. Nobody wants to pay tolls, and I don't think people in Lake Charles are any different than people anywhere else in the country.
Now, the project is estimated to have a $2.1 billion price tag, and $800 million of the project will be funded through various government sources. Landry says the estimated tolls range from $2.50 per auto to $12.50 for a large truck with a toll tag, and without a tag, $3.75 per car, and almost $19 for a semi-truck.
Hopefully we're going to continue to work on it before it's done, and maybe they can get a handle on it, and they won't be quite as high, but they're up there.
Now, because I-10 goes from one end of the country to the other, Landry believes more federal funds should go towards that project. State transportation receives funding for roads and bridges via the state gas tax, which Landry believes is just not enough.
They don't have near enough money to do what needs to be done, but all of that needs to be fixed.
Now, the tolls will be in effect for 50 years until that project is paid off. Well, the Food Network's Barbecue USA TV show will feature UL Lafayette's Office of Veterans and Military Student Services. It's a signature fundraising event. They have it all the time, Operation Smoke Show. The barbecue contest will air during several upcoming episodes of Battle on the Bayou. They begin running in August. You're up to date. I'm Bernadette Lee.
Remains the major issue across Acadiana. We certainly remain on pace for our hottest all-time July record. We will be close to the hottest all-time month, depending on how the temperatures go this weekend, as it does look like there's going to be a warm-up in store for us Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So the final days of July all looking very, very hot. Temperatures today get to about 97 degrees. Heat index will probably be up at about 105 later this afternoon, with winds coming from the south at about 5 miles an hour. Very little change over the next several days. Like I said, it will get a little bit hotter as we head towards the weekend. Not much in the way of rain chances, kind of a running 10% chance of rain going for the next several days. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Your news update brought to you by Home Furniture Plus Bedding. Over 40,000 furniture and mattress choices in stock and ready for delivery. Home Furniture Plus Bedding. Welcome home.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
All right, no crashes, no breakdowns to report at this time. Let's please continue to keep it safe out there. Your national anthem is brought to you by Hulco Printers, serving Acadiana since 1972. Buy local, shop local, support Acadiana.
And now, to honor America, Academy Award winner and 4-time Grammy nominee, Jennifer Hudson.
Good morning, Acadiana, and welcome into Acadiana's Morning News. Brandon Como here with you. Joe Cunningham, the host of the Joe Cunningham Show, which you can listen to from 3 to 4 each weekday on KPEL, sitting across from me. Joe, what's going on, man?
The usual, watching people on the internet complain about the bridge in Lake Charles.
Well, some of the local officials aren't happy about the toll possibility that we were talking about earlier as well.
Yeah, that's not going to be fun for the people. Even with a local rate that's super low, they're still just not going to be happy about it in general.
Yeah, well, because I think they also know too that these rates generally are going to continue to go higher and higher.
Yeah,
don't expect it to stay at that low rate.
It's another tax. It's another tax.
And joining us for Wingin' It Wednesday this morning are the panelists, Mark Pope and Jacob White. What's up, fellas?
Well, good morning there.
Hello. And better morning to you.
Yeah, better morning. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes.
I'll charge you all a toll for me being wise shortly.
Don't egg me on.
Let's see what the topics are first.
Hey, but Joe, I feel like Joe's got a point, but I counter with you got to pay to play.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want a quality bridge and the state doesn't have all the money, I mean, I'm just saying.
Man, Lake Charles got some money. They need to find a way to cough it up.
Yeah.
What does a bridge cost? $4.5 billion.
What did he say?
It's in the billions. I don't think it's that high, though.
Was it 1 point something or was it $2 billion?
I think it's 2.1.
2.1.
2.1.
Okay. Man, they got that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You shake a couple casinos and hospitals and plants, and you got it.
Okay, now Lake Charles is known for having those tremendous casinos, but they are still suffering in a lot of other areas too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be like all somber or nothing, but it's kind of like Joe said. This is kind of like another tax, and especially on an area that is still recovering so much from hurricanes. What I'm wondering, okay, so as much as we've talked about money that's been mismanaged, I would say over the years in Louisiana, where money does not go wherever it's always intended to, especially with the roads. I could see how people are getting a little miffed thinking about having to pay for a toll to get on Calcasieu River Bridge.
My question, do we know where did the money come from to build the first bridge and then the 210 bridge? I mean, who paid for the bulk of it? Did the feds cough up half? How does that work? And especially with the Pistol Bridge, I would imagine that was just interstate dollars, right? I mean,
Pistol Bridge.
That's what we always call the actual I-10 bridge because it's got a bunch of pistols on the, each.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, if you look closely,
I guess I'm late to the party. Never heard it. Okay.
It's like two pistols crossed, like thousands of them. If you look closely as you go up the bridge, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, how I would love to know what the funding looked like because I would think that would mostly have been covered under interstate spending. Right, it was almost all federal dollars that built the original one.
The grant man over
or
here.
Am I wrong?
The grant, yeah, right. The government, former G-man. So local government, folks. I work for local government in Lafayette. So,
and he's not a huge fan of grants.
No. No, thank you. Yeah, I missed that. I missed that little pun there. But you are right, Jake. It is a very interesting story, and I've heard the story. It's been a number of years since I've heard it. But it's a very interesting story about why Lake Charles, quote, got a loop and Lafayette did not. It's a very interesting story.
Is it factual?
It is factual.
Can you tell it?
I cannot. That's what I'm saying. I cannot tell it. When I was a government employee sitting in a public works meeting with all these public works managers, you had all these people with all this knowledge of roads and road construction.
Yeah.
And I heard the story, but it's been too many decades ago for me to recall that story. But I'm gonna pursue that because it is a very interesting story.
Please do, and we'll bring that one day on the show.
I think it's back to the 60s.
Well,
and there is a reason why Lake Charles got it and Lafayette didn't.
Okay. Yeah, from what I understood, Lafayette was laid out in such a way that they couldn't decide fast enough, basically, where is it going to go? Mm-hmm. Lafayette is kind of this weird hexagon, and Lake Charles is more like a grid, and so Lake Charles said, we're going to put it here.
Yeah.
And it was much easier for them to come to a conclusion as to where that loop would exist, and Lafayette, I mean, where would it exist to this day? It's a...
Well,
that's
now
knock some things down.
That's part of it, Jake. That's part of the story, but the story is more in depth than that.
Yeah,
it's not quite that simple because, again, it is federal money paid for a large percentage of that. What is it? Is it 610? Is that Lake Charles or is that
210
in Houston? 210.
But yes. I think also there was a window of time where the dollars were going to be available.
part of the story too. But again, putting all the pieces together and telling the story sequentially or chronologically is interesting.
We're going to do a Dickensian thing, and we'll over the course of a year, we're going to tell y'all a story.
I'm sure, they're talking about this. It's going to take 7 years to build this thing, and it'll start in 2024. I'm sure the timeline probably, and I'm just guessing here, disappoints Cassidy a little bit because Bill Cassidy is the one that signed onto the infrastructure bill that put in a lot of money for this bridge. And he took a lot of heat for signing onto that infrastructure bill and still does continue to take heat for it. But he will probably be the first elected official in line, that's if he gets reelected, when this bridge is completed, to stand on top of it and say, hey, I voted for money that went towards fixing this or putting this together, making this a reality.
Yeah, well, and that's another reason why I would be upset if I was living closer to there. I go to Lake Charles and Houston and such quite often. How much of those dollars got to the bridge and then how much toll would be paid in addition? $1 billion, man, that ain't a lot of money. When you're looking at the volume of I-10.
Have you
it's
seen
one
the
of
renderings, though, that we have at the website?
Is it real pretty?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, man.
Is there a rest stop I can pee off the top?
No, I don't think they thought of that detail. But so let me ask this, and Joe, please chime in if you want to on this one. Does anybody know? Because no one's talked about what's going to happen to the former bridge. Well, the bridge that they're using now, when it becomes the former bridge. It's structurally deficient. Is it going to be torn down? Is it going to be left to say, well, if you want to take this one, it's still there.
It's just going to blow away.
It's going to be a rotting skeletal reminder of what Lake Charles used to be.
I would think they'd have to demolish it. I would think.
I would assume they had to put up a temporary bridge, then demolish that one, then build the new one where the old one was.
I wonder.
Is that the bridge when you're on I-10 headed west?
Yeah.
That you go over that very high bridge in Lake Charles?
And as Joe said, it's not an arch, it's a
It's the mountain climber game from Price is Right is what it is.
Right.
It is up there, man.
And if you actually, you can time it out right where you can play the yodel song from Price is Right as you're going up. And then hit the little sad trombone of Price is Right as you're going down.
Right.
There will be some celebrating if and when that bridge gets demolished.
When you have these, you get claustrophobia. When you had the original bridge, Mississippi River Bridge in Baton Rouge, it was a very narrow 2-lane bridge.
Yes,
it was very nerve-wracking driving over that bridge. And then they came up with that 3-lane.
Which is still nerve-wracking to drive on, by the way.
I can't call it beautiful.
It ain't beautiful.
The way people get in their lanes on that bridge, there's an issue there,
I
man.
hate going on that bridge in Baton Rouge.
The Mississippi River Bridge Raceway.
It's just such a weird thing. If you look at it, the overview a lot of times, it's a 3-lane bridge, and there's this long line of cars in the middle you can't get through. Yeah, it's a weird one.
It is. Okay, let's go to the phone lines, 232-1542. We invite you to be a part of the conversation, or if you want to weigh in on the KPEL News app, you can do so as well. Let's see here. Cody from Church Point says, it blows my mind how we can send billions to Ukraine but not find the money to build this bridge without a toll.
Yeah, to me, that's crazy, man. The amount of money we're spending. I just think about it with healthcare, man. The amount of money I spend and I don't have insurance. It just seems like I want an itemized thing. And then they'll be like, well, you're not giving us hardly any money. I say, okay, well, that's true. But I work every day. That counts for something, right?
Everything comes back to health insurance for you, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, man, because I'm lucky to have it, but like a lot of people I know, it's like...
Okay, all right.
Yeah, anyway, whatever.
No, I love you, man. I appreciate it.
It's the bridge of my own heart.
I appreciate the passion you have it. You are the health insurance, and for Mark, climate change. Climate change a lot of
Let's
times.
find a way to make them solve each other.
Yes, it's your passions. Okay. All right, let's go to phone lines. Caller, you're on Acadiana's Morning News. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Listen, I seem to remember when they were pushing the infrastructure bill, that one of their selling points was that the bill would fund a new bridge in Lake Charles.
Yeah, we've said that.
I guess maybe it funded half of it. I don't know. Yeah, that's a great point.
I guess that's my question. when they were pushing it, they never said that it's going to fund half of the bridge or a portion of the bridge.
It just depends on
the
who.
selling point was that it would fund the bridge, and now they're coming up with this toll to want to pay, and all of a sudden the bridge is going to be $2.1 billion. So I wonder, were they lying to us then, or are they lying to us now?
A little bit of
probably
column
all
A.
of the above.
Yeah, I think it's all the time. Quite honestly, I don't have any faith and confidence in what our federal government tells us.
Yeah, I just want to see
right
an outlay,
now.
man, because the truth is that bridge, will it be a toll that will sunset? Because that bridge is,
That
good
toll will
Lord.
never sunset.
I mean, but that thing is going to carry an untold amount of traffic. I mean, that truly is one of the, I-10 is one of the most voluminous,
I think it's ridiculous that it's going to have a toll on it because of how many interstates we drive across the country.
Yeah, man.
I think it's ridiculous.
You know
I
what?
think
It's
tolls
cheap.
should only be for roads or bridges that are built as shortcuts, not as necessary points of travel.
Yeah.
And you're right. And I tend to agree. It's like creating a government program. Once you do it, it's next to impossible to get rid of it. However, right here in little old Lafayette, Louisiana, the government, the local government under Joey Durrell as mayor president, proposed a sales tax to help build or improve the Lafayette airport. They said it would sunset. They stuck to their word.
Oh, the airport, they're the exception to the rule. You're right.
So the point is, it can be done.
Well, and the truth is, Mark, I mean, I think this really does come to the heart of a good issue, which is that it is local government actually succeeding, saying what it's going to do, doing it, sticking to its word. And when it comes to this toll, the question is, well, who's going to administer that toll? And I would assume it's a third party, a for-profit, entity. And it should be the local.
Like
if the local
Easy Toll or
government
something
could
like that,
do it, yeah, exactly. I mean, I still,
Texas.
God, I owe so much money in Texas, but it
or
would
the Sunshine Pass in Florida.
Yeah, well, and they're nice when you have them. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really handy. But then I think about the people locally who probably who owe money to their own state. I don't know,
Okay,
man. There's
so-
just got to be a way to.
Well, okay, so Mark,
Pay
you
for
brought up a good point when you talked about the airport. Okay, so let's talk about that though, because in the airport, that was put in the proposal for people to approve.
Correct.
Okay? And it's sunsetted after that 9-month period.
Correct.
They're the model of how you get something done passed locally. This is something that's coming from a much higher level, and the bridge doesn't need people's approval. The terminal needed to be approved to get the money from the people. The bridge doesn't have to get the approval of the people to be built.
But here's the point. You're correct in a way, but just to clarify, any sales tax has to be approved by the voting public. The government can't just say, "Hey, we need a tax. We're imposing a tax." Fine, you've approved it, but what you've approved is putting it on the ballot for the people to vote on. That's just the way Louisiana operates.
But they're not going to put, and I get you on that, but they're not going to put on the ballot, "Hey, you either approve of a toll or you don't approve of a toll."
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Joe said it a little while ago. It's, quote, another tax. Whether it's technically a tax, I don't know. Go back to Obamacare. John Roberts, Supreme Court Justice, or Chief Supreme Court Justice, he said Obamacare is a tax. But when Barack Obama was pushing it, he said, it's not a tax. And so you're supposed to look at the intent of the original legislation in interpreting the law. So Roberts said, I'm not paying attention to what Barack Obama said. And again, who authored it? I don't know. But so I don't know. It's that question of what is a tax. And if it is a tax in Louisiana, the voting public must approve of that new tax.
Well, and what does it cost to not update our infrastructure? Because that's what this is all about. And if we passed this infrastructure bill, I don't remember what the final total is, but is this going on in every state where there's supposed to be projects? They're not fully funded?
That sounds like a mainly
man?
Louisiana thing, but I don't have the facts in front of me on that. Now, someone is bringing up to me right now, which kind of solidifies why I think that they're doing this. and says, basically he was told that 100,000 vehicles pass the I-10 corridor each day. So if you do the math on that, that is way more than that, man. But even just that's a ton of money.
Yes.
That's why, once this toll gets put in, it's not coming off. That's a moneymaker.
Well, it's got to be.
Government should be there to serve. Government's not there to make a profit.
They should, but the state government?
As it's been said in this discussion, whether it's a toll or whether it's a sales tax, it should sunset. At some point, they're going to say, okay, the bills are paid. We're done with that. Drop it. Huh. When the first...
They'll come up and say, well, we're going to use this money for something else.
I just have to go back to the philosopher Steve Miller, who said, go on, take the money and run.
Go on, take the money and run. Okay, so back when Dwight Eisenhower said we're building a nationwide interstate system.
Horse path.
Okay. So now what we're here in Louisiana, when you pump gas, you're paying is 18.3, something like that, cents per gallon as an excise tax, meaning it goes into the highway trust fund. What trust?
The highway trust fund.
18.6 in Louisiana for per gallon of gas, 18.6 per gallon of gas in a federal excise tax, which goes into the, quote, highway trust fund. All right, when Dwight Eisenhower started that national interstate highway program, the excise tax was 1 penny per gallon. And he said, once the interstate system is built, the tax will go away.
Man.
And look what happened to go away. It went from a penny a gallon to now, what is that, about 37 cents a gallon you're paying per gallon of gasoline you're paying in excise tax.
I mean, I think we forget one of the reasons Perot caught fire so much, because he was like, what is this thing?
Can I finish? Can I finish?
Can my daughter get married?
Let's.
Just the idea that our tax code is just a grift. It's this huge grift.
All right, back to the phone lines. Let's get some more people involved. We got people on the app as well. All right, caller, you're on Wingin' It Wednesday. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
We're talking about the Lake Charles Bridge.
Yes, sir.
And I'm happy for those folks. But what about the I-49 connector? Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think that's been dragging around longer than the Lake Charles Bridge has.
Been dragging around a long time.
It'll be a long time more.
Yeah.
They meet all the time about that, but it's never going to happen. I mean,
And the Evangeline Thruway is a solid disgrace.
Yes.
To the state, to the city of Lafayette. They make no attempts to repair it. I drive an 18-wheeler, and I go all over the country, and you can tell when you cross the state line in Louisiana just by the conditions of the highway.
Look, man, drive through Evangeline Thruway and then go down US 90 towards New Iberia, and the bumpiness, it's terrible.
Yeah, you're in Bolivia, man.
Well, when we have a fair amount of rain, follow a fully loaded 18-wheeler down Highway 90, and you watch the water squish up from underneath the highway. I mean, really?
I bet. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Let me look. The caller has a point there, and I'm not disputing the point. But a big reason for our substandard or subpar roads, if you will, is geology. All right, so let me think about it this way, folks. I'm serious. Louisiana is the youngest geologic state in the United States of America. What does that mean, Mark?
Deltaic alluvial plain.
It took a while for the landmass to build up. So go back 200 million years. 200 million years, the entire state of Louisiana was underwater. Okay, it's 65 million years ago, North Louisiana, you started seeing land. And we have only had land in South Louisiana for 5 million years. How do you know all this, Mark? My dad was senior research scientist at Louisiana Geological Survey. I learned volumes of information. So what I just told you is actual and factual. And because we're building on swampland, the subsidence, we sink. And we don't have bedrock. People say, well, why are Texas highways so much better? They have bedrock. So our highways are more susceptible to deterioration than our highways in Texas, in Arizona, in Arkansas.
All right, let's get some people involved. We'll go back to you, Jacob. All right, are we speaking to Brian? Hello, caller, you there?
Yes.
All right, we got you. Go ahead.
Oh, yes, sir. So I was just calling you guys were talking about the Lake Charles Highway and the tolls. You guys do know that there is a toll to go to Port Fourchon. It's the only way you can get there. It's got to pay a toll. It's been there for years.
Wow.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't go down to Port Fourchon, but I still stand by what I said. You should not have to pay a toll on a necessary road. It should be a shortcut.
Totally agree.
Yeah. And thank you for bringing that up. It's much appreciated. I wasn't aware of that because I don't go down to that area. But you're right. Now that I think about it, when I do get those emails from DOTD talking about that area, you're right. Now that talking about the toll bridge there.
What's the amount, man?
Yeah. What is the amount?
It's I think it's like $3 or $4 per car, and I think it's like $10 or $15 per tandem axle truck.
Yeah.
Wow.
Similar to the Lake Charles proposal.
And they've been doing that for years.
And no sign of it ending when the bridge is paid for, I assume?
Well, no, there's no other way to get there.
I know, but the bridge only costs so much money. At some point it's paid for.
That's because they're making bank.
Yeah, man.
That's because they're
Thanks for the
making
call.
bank.
Yeah, that's.
Thank you, man. Much appreciated. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to buy. That's it. I'm buying a bridge.
There you go. It's a good investment.
I got one to sell you.
Yeah.
But but that's kind of the thing. I mean, the caller is bringing it up. The idea, and I mean, to your point, it just smacks of taking advantage. When I live over there. What do you mean? I got to pay every time I cross this thing? What? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just going to be angry silently. Who wants to go?
Okay, so we're going to go to the phone lines again in just a second. First off, some comments on the KPEL News app. Dwayne from Lafayette says, I recall Lake Charles getting a loop because they had a military base.
That is, once again, all the pieces are coming together. That is a big reason why. Very good, Paul.
All right, and CNAC 86 for you, Jacob, says the I-10 bridge eastbound on Baton Rouge is the only interstate in the country that goes down to one lane.
Whoa. Oh, my God, it's true.
Okay, so, all right. Blue Jay 27 says maybe a hurricane will remove it like in Grand Isle. I'm probably talking about the
Oh, my God.
Let's see here. Chris says all it's going to do is increase the traffic on the 210 bridge.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that's a great point. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just take the 210, take 5 more minutes.
I mean, I'd take the 5 more minutes to avoid the toll.
Yeah. Well, and to speak more about the Evangeline corridor, I think that a good reason that is looking as dilapidated, besides Mark's apt geological info, I think that we, again, kind of have slept on the decision-making about where that corridor is going to occur. And so nothing's been done. And Evangeline is kind of waiting. It's the bridesmaid and never the bride. And it wants to be the interstate. But I mean, I don't want that to be the corridor. There are two other great options to the west and to the east.
I think it's
and nobody talks about the one to the west.
Yeah.
But, it just...
I think the Evangeline Thruway, the I-49 corridor idea is moving further down the bridle train.
It is.
When the caller brought that up and Jake made a point, it would... Look, I agree totally. Evangeline Thruway, to me, should be converted to a local thoroughfare, if you will, and I-49 should be rerouted. A total another route.
Okay.
Trying to retrofit that, I don't think is a good idea. And plus, all the eyesores with the old buildings, you got deteriorating curbs and just, on and on and on. So beautify the area, make it more of a local thoroughfare, and totally reroute I-49 in a nearby but different path.
They've done a lot of looking at where to do it, and there's been a ton of study at a place near Rain where it would come down, and then there's another one by Henderson. But there are totally viable alternatives that, for whatever reason, aren't discussed in the way that this one is discussed, and that's all they're ever going to be is discussed until somebody does something.
And I think doing the high-rise thing is a common all across the country is a bad move, a very poor move. and it would lessen the property because you're lessening the property value. The noise and the crime, vagrants are right there, just on and on and on. There are multiple reasons why that is not a good idea.
Yeah, it's an eyesore. I mean, there are places, in Dallas, for instance, there are places getting rid of those or trying to, those huge overpasses.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Caller, you are on the air, Wingin' It Wednesday. Go ahead. Hello, caller.
Hi, I was wondering if anybody's thought about I-10 as a hurricane evacuation route.
Oh my God, you got to pay your toll.
How does that play into the toll?
Please waive the toll during that time period.
I'm going to make them wait while I dig for change.
Yeah, seriously.
Great
That's
point.
A great
It seems
point.
like there would be federal money for that safety factor.
Yeah. Great point. Thank you.
I still want to know. I mean, I should have just done some research before the show, but I want to see what is the shortfall. I mean, and to me, the fact that there is no proposed sunset, as far as I know, right? This is just there will be a toll on this bridge in perpetuity. Well, that's going to be infinite money. If you take the timeline out long enough, you don't need infinite money. You need a set amount of money.
Yeah. Let's see here. Back to the KPEL News. Scott from Blazon says, so when is the bridal shower for Evangeline Thruwell? Poor Miss Evangeline. I don't know if that special day will ever come for her. All right. We're going to go ahead and take this quick commercial break.
She needs a makeover.
Poor thing. When we come back, we're going to go ahead and wrap up Wingin' It Wednesday. But first, your weather forecast from the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab. News Talk 96.5 KPEL, broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios. Find out more about how they can help you at matthew-james.com.
Heat remains the major issue across Acadiana, and we certainly remain on pace for our hottest all-time July record. We will be close to the hottest all-time month, depending on how the temperatures go this weekend, as it does look like there's going to be a warm-up in store for us Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So the final days of July all looking very, very hot. Temperatures today get to about 97 degrees. Heat index will probably be up at about 105 later this afternoon, with winds coming from the south at about 5 miles an hour. Very little change over the next several days. Like I said, it will get a little bit hotter as we head towards the weekend. Not much in the way of rain chances, kind of a running 10% chance of rain going for the next several days. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
All right, so looking at traffic right now, you've got Pinhook at Bendel, a crash there with injuries. Pinhook at Bendel. All right, I want to spend a little bit of time that we have left on something that me and Joe were talking about yesterday. And it was about a poll that came out talking about patriotism, and youth in particular are souring on the country as patriotism is now hitting a record low. We're really talking about those people ages 18 to 34. The numbers are only 18% of those aged 18 to 34 said that they were extremely proud to be American. In a most recent poll, the Gallup poll did it. America, the older you get, the more patriotic your age group tends to be. But I was asking Joe about this yesterday. When you relate it to the presidential race, where you have two candidates in Trump and Biden that are, the apparent front runners on for their respective sides, and people are souring on that and saying we don't want that. Are we headed for the point of no return if, as we get younger and younger in this country, for the next generation, the level of patriotism continues to go lower and lower as well? Jacob, since you're closer to that age group, let me let you answer first on that one.
That is a concerning stat. And for me, I would think that for a lot of those respondents, it's an economic thing. And these kids are wondering what piece of the economic pie is going to be left. Because to me, I've been grateful since I realized, for being an American. But, the more you learn, the more you learn that, we're this creation and process, and there's so much about America that just is amazing. But there's also so much that we could improve. We're talking now just about, a functional bureaucracy and trying to get essentially what you would think we're paying for with excise taxes and other things. And I think that for a lot of these kids growing up, it's cool to hate on the U.S., and that's what I worry about is like, do you actually know why? Do you have a reason for being, for complaining, or are you complaining because that's what you hear and you're parroting it? And I wonder. I would love to hear 100 people's little testimonials of the kids who are patriotic and the ones who aren't, and find out what reasons they might have. Because I feel like you're going to have a lot of bandwagon jumping, and you're also going to hear some good reasons why kids might have anxiety about our future.
All right, go ahead, Mark.
So I'm going to answer your question, the one you posed to Jake. Or do you think we're at the point of no return? I don't know. It kind of looks that way. The political pendulum swings very slowly, number one. Number two, as far as what is patriotism? To me, it is everything that we have and everything that this country is founded on. It's freedom, it's liberty, it's the spirit of the American people. Government doesn't make what is America. It's the people who make. However, the government is screwing up a good thing. Our current government, like never before, never in the history of our country, is our government coming in, infringing free speech rights, property rights, taxation, New World Order, just on and on. As Barack Obama said, isn't it ironic? We're going to fundamentally change America. He said that when he was campaigning, and yet he failed to a large degree other than Obamacare. Joe Biden came in, fed us lies, told us, I'm going to be the great uniter and so on and so forth. The polar opposite of what he said is happening right now. And here's the point. When Jake said, talk more than just ask a handful of general questions of young people, find out why. I can tell you why. Because of all the propaganda and mind control that young people are exposed to. Here are the reasons why they don't like America. We're racist. We're systemically racist. We got MAGA Republicans who are threatening democracy. No, the communist Democrats are the ones threatening democracy, trying to take our rights. So unfortunately, the state of education in our country is abysmally low. Everything from science, math, reading, plus the propaganda that young people are fed in our public schools throughout the country.
All right, we're going to end it there. Mark, Jacob, as always, thank you so much. Thank you. All right, so we'll take this break. We've got your Fox Business Report on the way.
Live and local every day in Acadiana, and the only place you can voice your opinion on your favorite KPEL shows. We're your home for news and talk in Acadiana. This is KPEL. Why?
The Fox Business Report, brought to you by Paul's Jewelry, Acadiana's trusted family jeweler for over 65 years.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Coca-Cola shares are higher after Coke reported a stronger than expected quarter. The company says the strength of its business in the last 6 months is giving Coca-Cola the confidence to raise its forecast for the year. AT&T also just reported upbeat earnings. It added 326,000 subscribers with a monthly bill in the quarter. Just 3 months ago, AT&T's quarter fell short of expectations. General Dynamics also reported better earnings and revenue than forecast. Today, the Federal Reserve is expected to raise interest rates for the 11th time since March of last year. The 0.25% increase will raise rates to the highest levels in 22 years, though many economists believe this will be the end of rate increases to fight this era of inflation. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
The best way to stop Joe Biden's agenda is to opt out of his inflation game by diversifying your savings into gold. I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is why I recommend a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, text the word SHELTER to 989898 to get a free info kit on gold. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust. So text SHELTER to 989898 right now.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette. Broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios. Online at matthew-james.com.
Hunter Biden has a court date. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. 1 hour from now in Delaware, where the president's son will plead guilty to 2 federal tax evasion misdemeanors and enter into a pretrial program that'll let him avoid a felony charge. Republicans call that a sweetheart deal for the president's son. Congressman Jim Jordan tells Fox Business,
it's supposed to be equal application of the law in the United States of America. That doesn't seem to be what happened here. The whistleblowers, Mr. Shapley, Mr. Ziegler, were very clear about that.
Another House Republican filed a brief with the court urging the judge to consider before accepting the plea deal those IRS whistleblower allegations of political interference to benefit Hunter in the case. That judge alleges also a Biden lawyer tried to get that brief removed.
This is what the judge wrote. She says, it appears that the caller misrepresented her identity and who she worked for in an attempt to improperly convince the clerk's office to remove the amicus materials from the docket. What we heard from Hunter Biden's legal team, they say the matter under consideration appears to stem from an unfortunate and unintentional miscommunication.
That's Fox's Mark Meredith at the White House. Some Republicans are pushing to impeach President Biden and Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who will face questions in a House hearing next hour. Fox's Ryan Schmelz reports.
The committee's chairman sent a letter to Secretary Mayorkas to, quote, be prepared with data and information such as the number of migrants released into the country. While Republicans have been critical of Mayorkas' handling of the border, the Biden administration says it's seeing a significant drop in migrant encounters at the border in recent months.
A federal judge ruled against a recent Biden border policy denying asylum to some migrants, but let it remain in effect pending appeal. Also next hour at the House, a UFO hearing.
It features military pilots who've seen strange things while flying for the U.S. One witness is former intelligence officer David Grush. He contends the military has pieces of a craft that is not from Earth and may even hold remains of an extraterrestrial pilot.
Fox's Chad Pergram. America's listening to Fox News.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
There are updates on 2 U.S. troops who were held as prisoners. First, Bo Bergdahl, the former Army sergeant, dishonorably discharged after pleading guilty to desertion for walking away from his base in Afghanistan in 2009, then being captured, held captive by the Taliban for 5 years. Until a U.S. prisoner swap freed Bergdahl, a federal judge has vacated his conviction and sentence. The other ex-prisoner was held in Russia, now is in a hospital.
The State Department says Marine veteran Trevor Reed was hurt while fighting in Ukraine and has been taken to Germany for medical care. The Associated Press reports that he was wounded several weeks ago. U.S. officials haven't said much else about his injury or reason for being in Ukraine, other than noting that his activities were not on behalf of the U.S. government. Reed was arrested in Russia in 2019, accused of assaulting an officer, and later sentenced to 9 years in prison. He was released from Russian custody in an April 2022 prisoner swap in exchange for a Russian pilot, Konstantin Yaroshenko, who'd been serving a 20-year federal sentence for conspiring to smuggle cocaine into the U.S. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
A lot of Americans will have a very hot summer day. Heat warnings, advisories stretch from Southern California to much of the Midwest, parts of the Northeast. In Florida, a 3-month-old baby found inside a sweltering hot car.
The two identified as the child's father and aunt. The father, John Polidor, questioned by reporters after bonding out of jail.
How could you forget?
I mean, I don't know.
Broward County Sheriff's deputies say the two left the child in a closed car outside a car rental office for more than half an hour with no air conditioning and with the windows up. They say the heat inside the car was recorded as 109 degrees. In this case, the child was rescued, but there have been 14 deaths of children left in hot cars in the nation so far this year.
That's Gary Baumgarten. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning. I'm Bernadette Lee with your news and information update. A second time this year, a coach at St. Thomas More has been arrested by federal authorities. KATC found the name of an STM faculty member. Angel Cardona had been scrubbed from the website. Another coach, Jacob De La Paz, fired after a video circulated online. The Louisiana Pardon Board did not act on the clemency applications from 56 death row inmates at its Monday meeting. Brooke Thorington has more on the story.
The death row inmates are hoping the Pardon Board recommends clemency to Governor John Bel Edwards, who opposes the death penalty. But prosecutors are concerned about rushing these applications through the process. Lauren Lampert represents the Louisiana District Attorneys Association.
Victims need confidence that as this moves forward, there's integrity in the system and that all of the applicable rules and laws are followed.
The Capitol Appeals Project remains confident the board will apply its rules and consider the merits of the clemency applications. I'm Brooke Thorington.
Hurricane season is officially June 1st through November 30th. But Louisiana State climatologist Barry Keim, along with a group of researchers, are finding that the season tends to last longer. It's kicking off earlier and ending later. He says over the last 9 years, 10 preseason storms have formed.
So we can get federal, state, and local agencies all on board and, thinking about these storms a little bit sooner so that we're actually better prepared for them when they do indeed occur.
Now, the million-dollar question, Keim says, is whether the season is longer because of climate change or whether technology has advanced so that meteorologists are able to detect storms better than in the past.
So this is a debate that we're still having, but nevertheless, whether it's climate change or whether it's just better surveillance of the storms, we're still getting storms earlier in the season and outside of the dates that we call hurricane season.
Researchers from LSU, the University of New Hampshire, and Colorado State University are among those participating in the study. Keim says they have great hurricane season records from 1970 on due to the implementation of satellites. Now, prior to the 70s, the records are less accurate because planes were used to compile the storm data.
And it does appear that hurricane seasons are indeed becoming longer. But again, it's fraught with all sorts of data uncertainties.
Now, Keim says it makes sense to begin hurricane season before June 1st so residents and emergency officials prepare before June. On the heels of the announcement that the I-10 River Bridge project will be partially funded by tolls, Calcasieu Parish Police Jury President Chris Landry says he and others are disappointed that motorists will have to pay part of the tab. He says there's no doubt whatsoever that the bridge is needed.
The bid came back a lot higher than what they were expecting, and the bad thing is the toll issue. Nobody wants to pay tolls, and I don't think people in Lake Charles are any different than people anywhere else in the country.
Now, the project is estimated to have a $2.1 billion price tag, and $800 million of the project will be funded through various government sources. Landry says the estimated tolls range from $2.50 per auto to $12.50 for a large truck with a toll tag, and without a tag, $3.75 per car, and almost $19 for a semi-truck.
Hopefully we're going to continue to work on it before it's done, and maybe they can get a handle on it, and they won't be quite as high, but they're up there.
Now, because I-10 goes from one end of the country to the other, Landry believes more federal funds should go towards that project. State transportation receives funding for roads and bridges via the state gas tax, which Landry believes is just not enough.
They don't have near enough money to do what needs to be done, but all of that needs to be fixed.
Now, the tolls will be in effect for 50 years until that project is paid off. Well, the Food Network's Barbecue USA TV show will feature UL Lafayette's Office of Veterans and Military Student Services. It's a signature fundraising event. I have it all the time, Operation Smoke Show. The barbecue contest will air during several upcoming episodes of Battle on the Bayou. They begin running in August. You're up to date. I'm Bernadette Lee.
Heat remains the major issue across Acadiana, and we certainly remain on pace for our hottest all-time July record. We will be close to the hottest all-time month, depending on how the temperatures go this weekend, as it does look like there's going to be a warm-up in store for us Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So the final days of July all looking very, very hot. Temperatures today get to about 97 degrees. Heat index will probably be up at about 105 later this afternoon, with winds coming from the south at about 5 miles an hour. Very little change over the next several days. Like I said, it will get a little bit hotter as we head towards the weekend. Not much in the way of rain chances, kind of a running 10% chance of rain going for the next several days. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
All right, we have a crash. Pinhook at Bendale. That's Pinhook at Bendale Road.
I'll see you right now.
Good morning, Acadiana. Welcome into Acadiana's Morning News. Brandon Como, Joe Cunningham here with you. Thank you for spending time this morning with us. We've been having some great discussions. Spent a lot of time in the last hour talking about the Calcasieu River Bridge, the new one that's supposed to start being built in 2024. But we're going to kind of transition a little bit here closer to home in Lafayette. And Joe, I came across your article that you wrote yesterday about the 8 things Lafayette visitors need to experience. And
two runners up. I need to clarify there are 2 runners up that there were suggestions that I could not. They may not seem like must-haves, but they really need to be considered. But yeah, that was a fun one to do, asking folks on Facebook what their ideas of the essential things to do if you're visiting Lafayette would be.
And the first one on the list was something that I took my in-laws to not long after meeting them when I was dating my now future wife, was taking them to Vermilionville.
Yeah.
And my in-laws on that side have a history of Native American in their blood. And so it was really cool to, I took them there wanting to show them more about the Cajun culture and then being more aware of the Native American culture that they come from and seeing that and how much that tied into the Cajun culture in this area. It was really, really cool. They really enjoyed it. And then getting to eat at the restaurant there as well. The whole experience was definitely really cool.
Yeah, when after we had moved here, one of the first times my family came to visit, my parents, my brother, my sister, when they all came in, it was one of the first things that we had done together to kind of be tourists in Lafayette after we had moved here. And it was a lot of fun. And there was also, at my previous job, there was actually, there was a little, not workshop. What am I trying to say? But it was basically a get together for everybody. And it was a chance for us all to come together as a staff and get to know each other a bit more, but also kind of partake in some of the stuff that you can do at Vermilionville. It was really kind of laid back, pretty interesting, and being able to see it among other people who had lived here forever and kind of getting their reactions to it too. It was very interesting to see how even people who have lived here know Lafayette's history and Acadiana's history still are kind of in awe of some of the stuff that you can do there.
Yes. And it really is the coolest thing. My nephew on that side, who actually had just recently found out that his mom had a tie to the Acadians, and his mom had a tie to being from Canada, which had that tie to Nova Scotia and all that. So he was interested in learning more. So then last year I brought him to Vermilionville. and he got to see it and learn more about the culture that he came from as well. It's kind of just amazing to see all the ties that bind us and everything. So for me, my first experience at a Vermilionville was in the 4th grade on a class trip, learning more about my family history, my culture, and it was very eye-opening. Also, another thing that you have here on the list, another place to go to, is the Acadiana Park Nature Station.
Yes.
Which other great memories there, going and, me and my wife, back when we were dating, going on hikes to Acadiana Park Nature Station. Very cool place.
Yeah, I haven't been yet. I want to go. Just haven't had the opportunity yet, but that's like one of the 2 places on this list that I personally haven't done.
Right. And so you've got also on the list, you got places like Cypress Lake on the UL campus, St. John's Cathedral Oak that people were talking about, downtown Lafayette as well, just the whole vibe there.
And that one seems kind of unfair because I could break that into its own separate list. All the things you can do downtown. And just that would have made the article way too long. We're talking a 50-something item article between this one and the next item on the list.
Of course, you got the festivals here in Lafayette, Festival International de Louisiane being one, and that's a downtown Lafayette area festival. But, you really do have some other fantastic festivals in this area to recommend too.
Yeah.
I know you've been to, was it the Po' Boy Festival recently?
Yes. Yes, that one. And some festivals not even in Lafayette, but in the surrounding area. Like every year, Cracklin' Fest in Port Barry. Go to it. It's fun.
Yeah.
Always recommend going to the Cracklin' Fest in Port Barry.
You've got the Lafayette Farmers and Artisans Market, which our friend Professor Bob talks about. Monkus Park, as well. And then, of course, you got the runner-ups.
Yes.
So Lafayette best plate lunches and drive-through daiquiris. Okay,
yes.
Anything in mind with these places?
Not in particular. There were just several comments that were like the plate lunches. You have to try a plate lunch in Lafayette because it's very true. We have a lot of great restaurants.
Yeah.
But something about just the down-home style of just piling stuff into a styrofoam container and handing it to somebody.
Yeah.
Or a drive-through daiquiri. People not from Louisiana know about our drive-through daiquiris.
Right.
And they, when they come to Louisiana, they had to experience it. And they always kind of ask, make sure, the law and everything, keep the paper on, stuff like that. But it's just kind of funny how people from outside the state come in. That's one thing they absolutely do want to experience.
Nope, absolutely. So, drive-through daiquiris can be a great thing as well. No doubt about it. You can go check out the list, all the pictures and everything over at the website, kpel965.com. Go check that out. And, hey, look, if you want to add something to the list, you can feel free to do so as well. All right, KPEL News Time is coming up on 8:23. We'll take this quick commercial break. Be right back. All right, time for some Cartridge Road trivia. They want to save you money on your printing needs. Call Cartridge Road today and ask about their no-cost printer program. Cartridge Road 337-984-9000, cartridgeroadusa.com. All right, so there's this really cool site that Joe showed me called dailydozentrivia.com. And they've got cool categories like NFL, music, television, movies, history, all kinds of stuff. And so some of them are very, very challenging questions. I would say all of them actually are pretty challenging. Even the ones you get right will make you think. So I'm going to go ahead and pose these questions to Joe. And remember, Joe, you did this to yourself because you brought me here to this website.
Let's go.
All right, let's go and start with history. So, nicknamed Baby Doc and viewed as a dictator, Jean-Claude Duvalier was president of this Caribbean nation until a 1986 uprising.
Jean-Claude Duvalier.
Yes.
Was Haiti.
All right, let's see if Haiti is the correct answer. And it is. All right, how'd you know that one?
So actually, I've had family that have gone to do mission trips to Haiti, so I've learned a bit of the history of it. And it's really kind of a tragic history as far as the government of Haiti and how corrupt they can be.
Very cool. All right, next question is going to be in the realm of television. Before rising to fame, Melissa McCarthy appeared in 153 episodes.
Gilmore Girls.
Of what WB series?
It's going to be Gilmore Girls.
Oh, it is. I mean, I don't even have to enter it in, but it is. You are correct.
Yeah,
okay.
That my wife would have killed me if I'd gotten that one wrong.
All right. Next question. Music.
All right.
What 2003 Black Eyed Peas song featured these lyrics? People killing, people dying, children hurting, hear them crying.
Where is the love?
You got it. I knew that one too. So one of their CDs was just on repeat in my car during my first year at UL. Yeah. So there you go. All right, man. Look, you're 3 of 3 so far. And then yesterday, I think when we did this just off the air, we got maybe 2 questions right. Like total. All right. So next is Major League Baseball.
All right.
Nelson Cruz and Mark Trumbo each led the American League in home runs during the 2010s while playing for this team. You're going to get this one.
I don't know. I'm not a baseball person.
Well, we did this one off the air yesterday, but in a different way. It was they gave us the team, and I just had to tell you the player, which I got Nelson Cruz. Oh, no, you wouldn't be correct. Never mind.
Yeah.
The answer in it was wrong. Okay. I thought it was the Texas Rangers.
Yeah. See, that's what I was leaning with, but I didn't recognize Trumbo's as a Ranger.
Mark Trumbo, yeah. It's the Baltimore Orioles.
Wow.
Okay, I would have got that wrong. Okay, let's stay in sports. NFL. The first and only quarterback selected in the first round of the 2013 NFL draft was E.J. Manuel to this team. Now, crazy thing is, I'm pretty sure the guy came from Florida State.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to remember the team that he went to.
Oh, God. Buffalo.
Oh, I think you might have gotten that. Let me see. Buffalo. I think you got it. Let me see. You got it, man. I didn't remember that one, to be honest with you. All right. Let's see here. Next question is NBA.
All right.
In the 2000s, Courtney Lee started 5 games in an NBA Finals for what Eastern Conference team? Again, I know the college. He was at Western Kentucky.
Right.
But what team did he play for in the Eastern Conference? And they actually went to the NBA Finals.
Oh, man. I can remember some of the teams, but I can't put the dates to them. Mm-hmm. Rockets would be too late, right?
Yes, too late. They were the 90s.
Oh, man. I don't know.
Okay, so my guess is the New Jersey Nets, and my guess is wrong. It's the Orlando Magic.
Magic before the Nets.
Yep. Okay. All right, we got 2 more.
Can't really do celebrity mashup.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not doing that one.
All right.
So we got beverages and movies. Promoted and founded by Logan Paul and KSI, the drink brand introduced 2022 has flavors such as Ice Pop and Meta Moon.
Oh, Prime.
Yeah, you got that one. That's correct. I remember that one as well. Okay, final one, movies.
Okay.
This 2015 Adam Sandler video game themed movie grossed over $200 million despite an 18% Rotten Tomato rating.
Oh, Pixels.
All right, I didn't see it, so I'm going to assume that you're correct. And you are. All right, Joe, you got 6 of the 8 correct. That's
all
really
right.
good, man.
I think that's my best score so far playing that game.
Yeah, man, that is not an easy one. You go to dailydozentrivia.com if you ever want to play, and they give you your 9 questions for the day, and you see how good you can do on it, and then it restarts the next day. Yeah. All right, KPEL News Time 8:31. We've got your news, weather, and traffic coming up. Eat Lafayette 2023 shines a year-round spotlight on Lafayette's locally owned and operated restaurants. And now through September 10th, you can find Eat Lafayette deals offered by some of the participating restaurants. News Talk 96.5 KPEL is proud to be a sponsor of Eat Lafayette and the Digital Passport. Download the Eat Lafayette Digital Passport today so you can check in when you eat at a participating restaurant. Each check-in will enter you to win airfare and a trip for 2 to Savannah, Georgia, courtesy of Wings Travel. Just go to kpel965.com and click on the Eat Lafayette link at the top of the page. Eat Lafayette from Lafayette Travel and sponsored in part by News Talk 96.5 KPEL. News Talk 96.5 KPEL broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios. Find out more about how they can help you at matthew-james.com.
Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning. I'm Bernadette Lee with your news and information update. Well, it's going to be time for another heat wave, so get ready. Meteorologists say Acadiana is heading back towards another full-blown multi-day heat wave into this weekend. It'll be hotter temperatures and heat indices that are going to inch upward before the week is over. The State Department of Transportation announcing toll rates for the new I-10 Lake Charles Bridge. Jeff Palermo has more on our story.
DOTD spokesperson Rodney Mallett says the total cost for a new bridge is $2.1 billion.
To have this nice new bridge, we are looking for it to be tolling.
Mallett says the tolls could be as low as 25 cents for area residents to as much as $18 for trucks that do not have a toll tag. Says the state has entered negotiations with Calcasieu Bridge partners to manage the bridge, and construction could begin next year.
Once we get the negotiations completed, then the contractor, the group, the CBP can go ahead and get started.
I'm Jeff Palermo.
Researchers from LSU and other universities, along with weather-related agencies, are working to compile data that could result in a longer hurricane season. Brooke Thorington has more details on the story.
It does appear that hurricane seasons are indeed becoming longer.
That's state climatologist Barry Keim, who's participating in the project. He says the data shows that not all storms fall into the hurricane season time period of June 1st to November 30th. The big question is what's lengthening the season? Is it climate change or better technology to detect disturbances?
Whether it's climate change or whether it's just better surveillance of the storms, we're still getting storms earlier in the season and outside of the dates that we call hurricane season.
He says if the season is extended, it prompts people to prepare even sooner. I'm Brooke Thorington.
Homeowners impacted by hurricanes in 2020 and 2021 or severe storms that happened in May of 2021 have until next Tuesday, August the 1st, to fill out a survey in order to be considered for grant money to pay for home repairs, reconstruction, and reimbursement of completed repairs. Office of Community Development Director Pat Forbes says the survey can be completed at restore.la.gov.
You may or may not be eligible for funding, but we are absolutely going to figure that out with you if you fill out the survey. If you don't fill out the survey, however, we don't have an opportunity to try to help you.
Now, Forbes says more than 33,000 homeowners have completed the survey, but they know there are many more who were impacted by the 2020 and 2021 hurricanes that have not completed it yet.
Pretty sure there's probably 60,000 folks out there who could be eligible who have not completed the survey yet.
And the Restore Louisiana Homeowner Assistance Program was launched in February of 2020, and so far the program has offered $266 million in funding to 3,300 eligible homeowners. Forbes says many of the eligible homeowners need money for a new roof. He says others need a new house built outside of a floodplain.
The limit on the grants, I think, is $300,000, but we essentially repair whatever damage, pay to repair whatever damage you had from the storm.
Now, residents can also call 1-866-735-2001. You can do that Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, if you need assistance in filling out that form. Well, the Saints will have their first practice of training camp today. New Orleans are the favorites to win the NFC South after struggling the last two seasons following the retirement of Drew Brees. Longtime Saints GM Mickey Loomis says the feeling was always that the team may have to rebuild after Brees' departure, but with a talented roster, the front office went a different route.
Maybe we don't have to start over. Maybe we can just, as you just said, reset. And so I kind of still feel like that's the case. I think we've got a good football team, and we've got to get good play from everyone. We've got to stay away from injuries from some of our key players. But I think it's there in front of us.
Now, one group to watch this offseason will be the running backs, with free agent signing Jamal Williams and third-round pick Kendre Miller joining Alvin Kamara this offseason. Kamara's availability for this season is uncertain as he waits for an NFL ruling after resolving battery charges stemming from an altercation in a Las Vegas club. Loomis says the team still hasn't heard anything and the decision could come at any time.
We've had an advance notice, and then we've had times when we haven't had advance notice that, we get it 8 days before, 10 days before. They're not going to do it on a Friday and tell you he's not playing on Sunday. They don't do that. They give you, some notice, but it's not always as long a lead time as you'd like.
Now, the NFL's conduct policy and suspension lengths have been wildly inconsistent, but many believe Kamara will face up to a 6-game suspension. You're up to date. I'm Bernadette Lee.
Heat remains the major issue across Acadiana, and we certainly remain on pace for our hottest all-time July record. We will be close to the hottest all-time month, depending on how the temperatures go this weekend, as it does look like there's going to be a warm-up in store for us Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So the final days of July all looking very, very hot. Temperatures today get to about 97 degrees. Heat index will probably be up at about 105 later this afternoon, with winds coming from the south at about 5 miles an hour. Very little change over the next several days. Like I said, it will get a little bit hotter as we head towards the weekend. Not much in the way of rain chances, kind of a running 10% chance of rain going for the next several days. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
All right, taking a look at what's happening on the roadways right now. We still just have that crash Pinnock at Bendel. Other than that, roadways are continuing to look good out there. School is right around the corner, and there are many kids in our area who don't have access to the supplies they need to have a successful year. Foster kids, homeless, and most needy children need your help as they get ready for the school year. The 8th annual Mabel's Table Backpack Project gives you a chance to provide for these students. You can bring school supplies to 2 drop-off locations across Lafayette, Caroline and Company at 1800 College Saloon Road, Suite 100, and Grace Presbyterian Church at 518 Roselawn Boulevard. Then, on Friday, July 28th from 3 to 5 p.m., volunteers will be packing backpacks for the kids at Grace Presbyterian. Their goal? To pack over 300 backpacks, but they can't get there without you. Please donate your school supplies at Caroline and Company on College Saloon Road or Grace Presbyterian Church on Roselawn Boulevard, or consider packing some backpacks yourself and help our children in need. Just go to mabelstable.org for more information. That's mabelstable.org. All right, so if I was to ask you, Joe, if you think about the mall, or when you think about the mall, what's the first food attraction that comes to mind?
Food attraction?
Yes.
Probably Sbarro.
Okay, so it is Sbarro.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's one that comes to mind, too. I would say the first one for me, well, there's a couple of them, but Auntie Anne's Pretzels has been a lot. Every time I go to the mall, that's one of the first places I'm looking. I love their pretzels and their sauces. So dang good. So on the website, if you check it out, there is a great article that talks about many of the iconic 80s and 90s mall food court restaurants and how many of them do you remember. And this really was a good trip down memory lane, though some of them are still there today. Another one, Great American Cookies, which around here, we have, of course, we've had them at the mall, but they also have their own, businesses kind of spread throughout the parish, which is great as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, speaking of Great American Steak.
No, I've never had that, but I know that's been talked about. Yeah. Okay, so is that more now in like maybe the Galleria or?
You find them in the. I think you'll find it here.
Okay.
But you find them at the malls of the mall of whatever. In most places.
The mall of wherever.
I'm like the Mall of America type.
There you
setups.
go.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll find them mostly there. They're you don't really see them outside of malls, outside of food courts.
Right.
Very good though, and also like for whatever reason, some of my favorite Asian themed food will always be found in a food court rather than a sit down restaurant. I know it's not like authentic or anything like that.
Look, man, in New Orleans at the mall on the Riverwalk, some great Asian food I've had from there before. But another one that comes to mind, and I tried this when I went to the Galleria in Houston at Shannon Wilkerson's request or his recommendation, was the Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
I'd never been to the Cheesecake Factory, and I tried the one in the Galleria.
I can't do the Cheesecake Factory because I have a hard and fast rule about restaurants. Like, if you offer too many diverse things, like you try to hit every sort of style of cooking or food, you're never going to be really good at one of them. And so you're always getting like the lowest quality of whatever you're getting there. Now, the cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory is phenomenal.
Delicious, yes.
And terribly bad for you. But the food itself, it's hit or miss for me.
Here's one that was on the list that when I say the name, you're going to be like, but why are you mentioning that here? California Pizza Kitchen. I mention it because their frozen pizzas are really, really good.
Yeah.
I like getting those. But the California Pizza Kitchens, those started up its first location in Beverly Hills in the mid-'80s. Other ones as well that people are going to remember here locally, Jamba Juice. Of course, you've got your traditional favorites like McDonald's.
Right.
And Cinnabon as well. Cinnabon. You mentioned Sparrow. Nathan's famous hot dogs. You've also got, of course, the Dippin' Dots, which you're going to find all over the place when you go to the mall or when you go to different malls. The Subways. I would like to have tried hot dog on a stick.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What else?
Orange Julius. Piccadilly.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, man. I love a Piccadilly.
So you can find the Piccadilly locations in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee, Virginia. Of course, we have ours over here. Panda Express, is that one you were referencing earlier?
One of them. There's a ton, but yes.
Wetzel's Pretzels.
Yeah.
I've had them once before. They were delicious as well. And there you go, Sarku. There's a lot of great places. Of course, can't go without saying Chick-fil-A.
Right.
I've definitely partaken of Chick-fil-A going to the mall. The many times that I've gone. So
yeah.
Anyway, a lot of great mall favorites on the website kpel965.com. Go check it out and go see if you want to take that trip down memory lane. Go check it out and just kind of reminisce. KPL News Time is 8:47. We'll be back to wrap things up in just a little bit. Eat Lafayette 2023 shines a year-round spotlight on Lafayette's locally owned and operated restaurants. And now through September 10th, you can find Eat Lafayette deals offered by some of the participating restaurants. News Talk 96.5 KPL is proud to be a sponsor of Eat Lafayette and the Digital Passport. Download the Eat Lafayette Digital Passport today so you can check in when you eat at a participating restaurant. Each check-in will enter you to win airfare and a trip for two to Savannah, Georgia, courtesy of Wings Travel. Just go to kpel965.com and click on the Eat Lafayette link at the top of the page. Eat Lafayette from Lafayette Travel and sponsored in part by News Talk 96.5.
You're listening to American Ground Radio's Morning Minute.
Vice President Kamala Harris lied this week, saying that Florida was teaching students that slavery was actually good for black people.
Only none of that is true. I mean, even the CNN anchor said they looked at the standards, looked at the analysis of the standards, read the statement of the African-American scholars that wrote the standards, and everybody involved says that what Kamala Harris said is a lie. Will Rogers once said, if you ever injected truth into politics, well, you have no politics. But do politicians lie because the public doesn't want to hear the truth or because they think you aren't smart enough to keep up?
Politicians lie because lying works. And until we, the people, start paying more attention and calling them out on the lies, they'll keep lying.
Return each weeknight with Louis R. Abalone and Stephen Parr from 9 to 10 p.m. on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
All right, welcome back into Acadiana's Morning News final segment. All right, so former President Donald Trump, who is running to become the 46th president. Made a visit to New Orleans yesterday. We've been telling you that he was in the Metairie area on Tuesday for a big dinner, a fundraiser for his campaign. And so he went ahead and made a stop in New Orleans at Café Du Monde in the French Quarter. And interesting to see all the sights and sounds of people who are waiting for him, both pro and anti-Trump. And the president making the stop, like I said, at Café Du Monde, getting them coffee and beignets, which I don't think with the beignets, I think he would have to take the jacket off to eat the beignets. you know?
Man, I hope he wasn't. I hope he was like in that iconic like white collared that golf shirt he wears and not his suit.
Yeah,
like he's just wandering around New Orleans, being Trump in his white polo, so that if he does get the sugar all over him, you can't really tell.
Well, the photos I'm seeing of him right now, he's in that suit and tie.
Oh,
and
man.
so he'll have to take off the suit and tie and maybe with the white shirt that he's got white on to, but I can remember in a better time in New Orleans, sitting in the area by the Riverwalk outside around the big fountain, eating beignets and just seeing just powder just all over the ground. But it was awesome. I wouldn't do that now in New Orleans, but but a lot of good memories with that. But the president making his way to New Orleans, and glad to see him, go in and kind of get out amongst the people a little bit. Of course, you had people that were all excited about him being there, waiting for him at the airport. And then you had protesters that were, chanting, lock him up as well. So just a very polarizing individual is Donald Trump. And, what they're saying is, as far as how much money was raised, so Joe Cannizzaro, the retired banker who hosted the campaign event in Old Metairie, told The Advocate that he expected the fundraiser would raise over $2 million for the 2024 presidential campaign.
Man, that is a lot.
Yes, it is.
This is going to be a very expensive primary.
Absolutely. All right, that's going to do it for us here on Acadiana's Morning News. As always, thank you so much for waking up with us. Moon Griffon Show is up next. You're listening to News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Don't forget, Joe will be on from 3 to 4 this afternoon, as he usually is. Joe, do you know what you're touching on yet today?
Hopefully UFOs.
Okay, that's right. You're going to jump the big UFO. It actually starts in like 6 minutes.
Yeah.
On Capitol Hill. So there you go. All right. We'll bid you adieu.
Sit around and wait for the phone to ring, waiting for someone to tell you everything. Sit around and wonder what tomorrow will bring, maybe a diamond ring. Well, it's all right, even if they say you're wrong. Well, it's all right, sometimes you gotta be strong.
Yes, it's that time of the year again, back to school shopping. And with inflation, we know it hasn't gotten any cheaper. Here's how we want to help you out. Download the KPEL News app and click on Hall Pass Cash, and you could win a $500 prepaid Visa gift card. Just follow the assignments to earn points and increase your chances to win. We're making back to school shopping better with Hall Pass Cash. Brought to you by Acadiana owned and operated Mattress Gallery, located on Kali Saloon across from River Ranch. From selection to delivery, it's Mattress Gallery.
The Fox Business Report is brought to you by Gulf Coast Bank, your local community bank. Whether your financial needs are for an individual, a business, or for the whole family, Gulf Coast Bank has the knowledge and products to serve you best. With 9 convenient locations throughout Acadiana, you're never far from a friendly Gulf Coast Bank associate.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report. The Federal Reserve wraps up its meeting today. It's expected to raise interest rates by 0.25% and offer an update on the economy. Two regional banks that held up during the recent turmoil are merging. Bank of California is buying PacWest Bancorp. Boeing shares are higher. Its loss was smaller than forecast in the recent quarter. It's stepping up production of its 737 MAX jets to meet demand. Both Coca-Cola and AT&T reported better than expected earnings this morning. AT&T also says it's expanding cost-cutting by $2 billion. Mortgage rates, little change. The Mortgage Bankers Association says its 30-year average was 6.87% in the recent reading. Demand for both purchases and refinancings fell. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
The best way to stop Joe Biden's agenda is to opt out of his inflation game by diversifying your savings into gold. I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is why I recommend a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, text the word SHELTER to 989898 to get a free info kit on gold. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust. So text SHELTER to 989898 right now.
Paid for by Birch.
Eat Lafayette is happening now through September 10th. Go to kpel965.com and click on the Eat Lafayette link to download the digital passport. You could win a trip for two with airfare and accommodations to Savannah, Georgia, courtesy of Wings Travel. Eat Lafayette from Lafayette Travel and sponsored in part by News Talk 96.5 KPEL. News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette. Broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios. Online at matthew-james.com.
News alert. Hunter Biden is in court right now. I'm Dave Anthony, and the president's son is expected to admit he's guilty of tax crimes.
With, of course, Hunter's plea agreement to 2 misdemeanors of tax evasion and avoiding prosecution on the gun charge.
Fox's Griff Jenkins outside the court in Wilmington, Delaware, where there's some new drama in the case. The judge is trying to find out if Hunter Biden's lawyers attempted to have removed, which they deny, a brief filed by House Republican Jason Smith.
To insert the testimony of those whistleblowers. Here is what Congressman Smith writes in his amicus brief. The defendant appears to have benefited, that's Hunter Biden, from political interference. In the interest of full transparency and fairness for all citizens, it is critical for the court to have this relevant information when evaluating the plea agreement.
That interference and allegations President Biden denies of being involved in Hunter's business dealings have Republicans considering impeachment.
You have a president who told you and every other American that he's never talked to his family about business and they never got $1 from China. You now know that's not true.
So House Speaker Kevin McCarthy adds,
should I ignore it? No.
Some Republicans also want to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas over a record surge of illegal immigration. He'll testify at a House hearing this hour. Another House hearing about to start aims to get the truth about UFOs. Republican Congressman Tim Burchett tells the Fox News Rundown podcast,
we're not going to bring in a flying saucer or a little green man, but we literally have decorated veterans who are really just risking their whole careers.
Two former military pilots who had UFO close encounters will testify. So will an ex-intel officer who claims the government may have alien spacecraft and extraterrestrial remains. Breaking news out of Britain, Kevin Spacey found not guilty. A jury acquitted the Oscar-winning actor of all 9 sex crime charges stemming from 4 men's accusations. America's listening to Fox News.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or...
Hey, this is Joe Cunningham, and every weekday on my show, The Joe Cunningham Show, you can tune in for all of today's top news, local, state, and national, plus analysis that you're not going to get anywhere else. all of the big topics from a local perspective right here on the Joe Cunningham Show every weekday 3 to 4 p.m. on News Talk 96.5